But I didn't actually know that I wanted to go to drama school. I didn't actually know it was like possible.
Are you happy with your choice?
If you were living in the UK before December 2020, you got like permission to keep living there as a European or EEA citizen. If I moved here just a few months before, I would have gotten that. So it doesn't apply to me, it doesn't apply to second years. I don't think it applies to first years, which is the worst thing because they literally missed it for like a few days.
So that means people after them.
Can work 20 hours on the student visa.
Why?
They weren't preparing us for a career because they didn't believe there was a career available in Malta. A lot of people, I feel like, found it hard in the beginning, but then found their people, and I feel like I was the opposite somehow. It got harder as time went on. So for me, I was like, oh, the signals I'm picking up are that they don't like me, but maybe in reality they did. They just show it differently because it's cultural.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the podcast. Today we are joined by Sophie de Borno.
It's close.
It's close.
Yeah.
By the end of the
close
episode.
enough.
By the end of the episode, I'll have worked on it by then. And we're going to be talking about, well, it's kind of like an international students part 2 episode because you're from Malta, and so we'll be kind of looking at like some of your journey, getting to where we are now in London, and also answering the question of, can international students actually work in the musical theatre industry in the UK? Is it possible? What options are there? Can you do it? And just kind of talking about the government as well. So anyway, we hope you enjoy the episode. This is the Movement Theories podcast. Well, I do like to ask the question of who inspires you, or think lots of people in their personal life will say their parents, which makes sense. But think of anyone professionally who stands out to you, who you look at and go like, wow, that's really cool. That's
a difficult one. I saw you like asking Izzy that, and I was like, oh, I literally don't know who I'd say, because I feel like I get inspired by a lot of people, but I wouldn't say I hold on to specific people.
Okay.
Like I feel like I just kind of take things from people that like inspire me, and
are there any like particular moments that you can think of where you've gone, wow, that's like that thing or that person has done something that I would love to do? I mean, you were saying that there's someone from Malta who's just finished in Moulin Rouge.
Yeah,
that's quite cool, isn't it?
That's amazing.
It's probably quite inspiring for you as well.
Yeah,
someone also from Malta.
He literally like just graduated from Arts Ed and like went straight into Moulin Rouge as the ensemble and first cover baby doll. So yeah, to be honest, there are actually quite a few people back home who do inspire me. Like especially there are quite a number of people who like somehow managed to make it work by living between Malta and London. Like I don't even know how they do that, but like they do. It might be me in the future, I don't know. But like they basically managed to like make a career for themselves in both places. There's this person, Luke Sidon, and he just wrote, well, not just, but like he wrote like the first fully Maltese musical.
Wow.
And it's also like a queer musical. It's called Il Teatro tal-Miskin, which means like, miskin is like a word that we used to be like poor you, like, or like bless you, like how British people would say that. So it's basically like theatre of those who are like kind of looked down upon or pitied.
Yeah. What is the industry in Malta like? Is there one for musicals like that?
So there isn't currently. It's a difficult question because like there is an industry, but there isn't. It's nothing like what there is in the UK, unfortunately. So there aren't really shows that are running long term. They'd just be like running for a week or so. And unfortunately, in all like the performing arts, like in theatre and dance and musical theatre, it's currently not at a place where people can do it full time. So people would have to have other jobs. I mean, even in the UK, have to have other jobs. But like, I feel like in the UK, when you're on a contract, like that's your full time job.
Yeah.
But in Malta, it's like you would rehearse like in the evenings, or it would be like kind of, I guess, a part-time contract, because it's not really that sustainable. Like it's not.
So it's not like a professional industry, whereas here you could be a professional in it because it's your full-time job.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the people are still professional, and like the productions are still professional.
Mm-hmm.
Like there is a lot of talent in Malta. Like there are a lot of like insanely talented people, but like it's like they're just projects. It's not like a long-term kind of thing.
Do you think that's going to change in the future?
Hopefully. Hopefully, yes. I mean, I think the government needs to like respect the arts more.
Yeah. I think that's the
And
same here. We've had lots of budget cuts,
yeah,
and I think the only thing that makes me slightly hopeful is that the new king. Don't ask me his name.
Charles.
Is it? Yeah, the new king. Likes the arts and like
Mhm.
is a fan and has always like been involved. So that's like good. But at the same time, the royal family don't really have much power
Yeah, I
over
guess
here.
so.
And on the other hand, the current prime minister was talking about making you have to do maths and English and science or whatever it was for A levels instead of you being able to choose, and was talking about like
Oh, really?
cutting out some of the opportunities that you have to have a degree in like theatre, because I think he wants more people to do degrees in subjects that he respects or likes. So yeah, there has been conversation about it being like you not being able to choose all the A levels, like you have to do
Oh,
an A level of maths, you have to do. Whereas once I finished GCSEs, I was like, brilliant, I can do what I like now, and so I did an A level in dance, BTEC in kind of media, which is where this has kind of come from, and a BTEC in performing arts.
oh
So
wow.
that's
Well,
like led me to come to drama school, and if I
fair
had to
enough.
do an A level of maths, I would have been awful. It would have
Uh,
been the worst.
on the other hand, I did biology and chemistry A level,
Whoa. So for those,
and
like, you're
yeah,
probably like good at them as well though, and smart.
ish.
I'd say if you chose to do, I mean, I guess, did you have other options, or you wanted to take those?
um, so we didn't really have like dance and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, well, the sixth form I went to at least didn't really have any of the like artsy A levels, but there was like obviously like English. There were definitely easier ones. Like I know someone who knew she wanted to go to drama school, so she took like marketing A level because it's like kind of relatively.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's like easy, but it's easier than sciences, you know. And I think she took French as well because like languages are, I guess, a bit less demanding than sciences. But I didn't actually know that I wanted to go to drama school. I didn't actually know it was like possible.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what to choose, and I had done 3 sciences for O levels or GCSE, but we call them O levels.
Yeah.
So I just kind of did them as A levels, and
I think straight off the bat, the question that I just want to kind of get out there is, are you happy with your choice?
to come to drama school.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't regret it, but there are a lot of things which, like, I was speaking to my friend who was also in my year, and she's from Italy, and she said like she's not sure if she knew like how difficult this was going to be, she's not sure if she would have done it. I'm still glad I did it because I got to live abroad. I got to like leave home. Like in Malta, most people leave home when they get married.
So it's quite character building as well.
Yeah, like it was an experience, and even just for the training, but like it has been so difficult. Like drama school is difficult as it is, but I feel like, at least my experience, I feel like it's been over and above. And I'm not saying like other people have also had like personally stressful experiences, but I feel like mine, like anything that could have gone wrong basically went wrong.
Any examples of those? Anything you want to share?
Brexit.
Yes. Well, yeah.
I just feel like I've experienced difficulties in like all the areas. Like I've experienced difficulties like making friends. I've experienced difficulties with accommodation. Difficulties like just not coming from a professional background. Like sometimes I think recently I kind of realized that like for some people this is like their 10th year of professional training, but it is my 3rd year of professional training. Like I never trained professionally before bird, so obviously that is an obstacle in itself.
Yeah, because I thought it was difficult coming from Devon, which is quite rural. Like it's by the sea, there isn't much going on there, and I was like, being a British citizen, I was like coming up to London and being around people who have lived in or around London doing all sorts of kind of training similar to Bird beforehand. I was like, that was intimidating for me. But doing that from another country without having the Holy Grail British passport, like that is, it's crazy. Yeah. I mean, it's a massive. I think it is a massive thing to do. And especially as I don't think you were able to work at all whilst you were here.
No.
Have any sort of job to financially.
Yeah.
support yourself, which is
Yeah.
just utterly
It's awful.
just
It's
rubbish.
awful.
Like that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, like it probably was difficult for you. Like, I'm not here to like invalidate other
Oh, no,
people's
no,
like
but,
experiences, but like,
there are different levels of
yeah,
difficulty.
I guess there are different levels. I feel like the worst part of it all is that I didn't know any of this before I came here, because I am the first year of Brexit, and it's not just that I didn't know, like no one knew. Like I made so many phone calls before I even left my country, before I even like said I was going to do it, and no one knew, and people still don't know.
Yeah.
And like the government doesn't know, and people who work for the government don't know, and people at Bird don't know, and I feel like that's the worst part, because we would just didn't know anything basically. And there's no one before us who experienced the same thing, because literally people who graduated this year were still in time to get a settled or pre-settled status if they were from the EU.
A pre-settled.
So basically, in 2020, 2020 was the cutoff, where in December 2020 you had to apply to get either a settled or pre-settled status, and that meant that if you were living in the UK before December 2020, you kind of got like permission to keep living there as a European or like EEA citizen. So if I moved here just a few months before, I would have gotten that. So basically you needed to like prove that you had been in the UK 6 months before December 2020.
Right.
And then you get settled or pre-settled status. I'm not sure what the difference is. I think pre-settled is like maybe you were there for a less amount of time, and then I'm not sure exactly, but basically they have the benefits of like of a British citizen.
I was just thinking, so this guy who went from Arts Ed into Moulin Rouge,
Yeah.
did they have British citizenship?
No, he didn't, but like he was there before, so it was fine.
Oh, because
he's
of this.
Yeah, he's got settled status.
And so if he didn't have settled status, would he have been able to
He would
do
have.
that job?
Yes, he would have, because of the 2-year graduate visa.
Okay.
But then
But after
after that, yeah.
So you could potentially get an audition and do a show, but does that mean that you can only do it for 2 years?
Well, I can, if you want, I can explain the situation at
Yeah,
Bird.
I think
Okay.
that would be good, because I have a lot to learn about it.
It's quite complicated, and a lot of people don't know, including basically. So there's this thing of the pre-settled status or settled status, but then different universities can sponsor visas for students, but different universities have different statuses as a university, and that will determine what benefits the student gets. So, for example, there are some drama schools which have like the basic level, which means that they can't sponsor visas. Can I say what they are? Or
Say what?
like
Drama school?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, like Italia Conti and Lane and Erdang, and I'm not even sure what else, but they currently cannot sponsor visas, so we couldn't even apply.
Okay.
I literally went into the website and they were like, you need like either settled status or you need to like have a British passport. So I just couldn't even apply.
I think that I've got a friend who did the whole audition process, and then they asked, "Do you have a British passport?"
Do you know what school it was?
I'm not sure which one they were talking about.
Because I remember in Kai and Marta's episode, they said something about like they were offered a place and then they couldn't.
Yeah.
I don't know what school that was,
Which is
but
crazy. Like,
that's crazy. But
shouldn't be allowed.
in my experience, there were like I had like a whole list. Because the thing is, if I go back like to like how I kind of decided to go to drama school, I had a friend at sixth form in my year who she just graduated from Lane basically, and she went to drama school a year before me, so she had the settled status. So she sent me like her list of all the places she auditioned for and stuff, and I kind of added them to my own list, and I did some research and added on more places, and then literally I couldn't audition for most of the schools on my list because. So anyway, that's like one of the levels, like they just can't sponsor visas. And then there's another level, which is what Bird had up until like 2 months ago, which is they could sponsor visas, but on the visa, the students cannot work as a student, and there is no graduate visa after graduation because they were not on this track of compliance list.
So it kind of basically just means you get your degree and then you go back to Malta.
Yeah, but I didn't know this before. Because like I would have kind of thought twice if I knew that. Because
Yeah.
like the whole point of coming here was to get like a career. So that's what Bird had. And this information was so hard to get. Like me and my friends when we were in first year, we just couldn't understand. Because people, the crazy thing is people from the University of Greenwich can work. Even though they provide us with our degree, they have a different type of visa.
Because they go to Greenwich, not to Bird.
Yeah.
But we're part of Greenwich.
Yeah,
So
that's
does
the
not
crazy
apply
thing.
to
So
you.
basically, Bird and Greenwich have different types of visas, and Bird, up until 2 months ago, was not on the track of compliance list.
I see.
But finally, we found out that, and my friend especially did a real lot of research. Shout out to Zervou, Latte Bovio. She's from Italy. She did a real lot of research. I also did research,
that's
but
really good.
she's done like so much.
Yeah.
Basically, we found this out, that they're not on the track of compliance list. And we looked up like how to get on the track of compliance list, and there was this whole thing like you have to pay and you have to have inspections, and it takes like 10 years, and we're like, oh my god, like it's never going to apply to us. Then finally, after all this stress, after all this like panic and months of this, we finally found out that Bird was actually undergoing this process, but literally no one knew.
So they were hold on. So they were undergoing this very vital process to get on the list, but didn't know about it.
Yeah, and my friend was checking every day on the track of compliance list, and she literally messaged me like, we're on the list.
So what does it mean now you're on the list?
So it was a bit disappointing. Well, the one big thing is that we can get a 2-year graduate visa.
So that means that you've got 2 years to get a job.
Yeah, hopefully. Like, I hope they don't come up with anything which says we can't, but like right now we can.
But if you get a job in that time, does that change
I'll
anything?
get into that.
Okay.
But so basically the fact that we're on the track of compliance list means that students on our visas can now work 20 hours, but it doesn't apply to anyone who got their visa after the track of compliance list, after we got onto the track of compliance list. So it doesn't apply to me, it doesn't apply to second years, and I don't think it applies to first years, which is the worst thing because they literally missed it for like a few days.
So that means that people after them,
Can work 20 hours on the student visa.
but they can't.
Yeah.
Why?
So that's awful for them. Like, yeah. There are a few people who their visa says they can work, but it's a mistake. And it happened to people in my year, and then they got an email saying, actually, you can't.
That is really rubbish.
Yeah.
That is really
That's
rubbish.
awful. Like, I was upset for myself, but I only have a few months left. Whereas people in first year, like,
Can't work.
yeah.
Whereas people coming from the next year. So this is good if you are interested in training here from another country, that when you come they'll have the opportunity to work. But our current first years, my close friends, will not.
Yeah.
They're thinking about doing a bake sale, which I think is really cute. But it's like that's cash in hand type things. That is so frustrating.
Yeah, it's frustrating, especially because we have to pay £15,100 per year, and we can't get a student loan.
Yeah.
And
I worked out that I'm paying the equivalent. I'm on the now 9,000 whatever. And it's about £50 a day, which wow. But you're paying 50. Wild.
I think if you're on the diploma, you still pay 9,000.
Yeah,
but,
diplomas pay more. Yeah.
But you can't get a student loan. You can't get a DADA. You can't get any type of financial support.
So what we need is in the future for
my stomach.
that's right, for the Arts Council, for the government to put in place something that does support international students.
There's something we got emailed about which started this year, which is like a hardship fund, which I guess is good, but you have to be able to demonstrate that you have less than £500 in all bank accounts.
So that's like real kind of.
That's like if you're really struggling, which it is good, but like if you have more than 500, I feel like you're still struggling if you have more than 500. And
because you got to pay what 15 a year, 15,000.
I have a student loan. I have a bank loan from Malta, which I have to pay back with interest no matter if I find a job or not. Like, so it's not the same as yours, and it's going to be £60,000.
How long do you have to pay it back?
I'm not even sure.
Because with us, it's just been extended another 10 years.
Yeah,
But if we don't pay back the full at 50 to 60, if we don't pay that back in, because we have the living
It
job,
used to be 40 years, I think, and now it's 50 years.
or until we're 50 or some they've extended it by another 10.
Yeah, it's like until we're 50.
Yeah.
So if we don't fully pay off all the student loans that we owe, like if we don't have enough money for it,
I think if you don't pay it off, then
it just gets sort of
gets
Yeah,
cancelled.
that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
I know.
yeah.
Mental. Bearing in mind, like some people who are at like traditional university are paying, this amount, and their contact hours each week are rubbish.
That's so true.
And they just don't actually do that. Like, you're paying that much money and you don't really get much face to face in person. Like, the most they get is like lectures where there's like 50 of them sat
Yeah,
in,
that's so true.
listening to
I mean,
teacher.
I feel like it's crazy either way because,
100%.
like,
It's a lot of money.
I find it crazy on one hand where I'm like, oh, you're lucky that it gets cancelled. But on the other hand, in Malta, university is free and you actually get paid to go to university.
So why did you choose to come to
Because we don't have drama schools.
And it is your passion. It's
Yeah, and I actually did try for a year. That's how I met Andre.
Oh yeah.
So basically, we don't have conservatoires. We don't have like vocational training. What we do have is degrees in. So basically, there's like one main university in Malta, and we have there is a school of performing arts within it, and there are degrees. You can have a degree in music, a degree in dance, or a degree in theatre. There isn't currently one in musical theatre. And they introduced this new degree, which was like bachelor's in performing arts, where basically you kind of join classes from those 3 degrees to form your like degree in performing arts. And that's what I did for a year, and so did Andre.
Andre, by the way,
Yeah.
is a mutual
friend from Malta.
That we found out about.
But the thing about it is that it was very theoretical, and it was as though basically we were being lectured by these people who've got PhDs in theatre but have like barely been on stage, and they were kind of training us to be that, to become like theatre scholars.
Yeah, because to have a PhD, like to have a doctorate, like all you do is just your research and writing,
Yeah.
but you don't actually.
And that's
end
not
up
what I
getting
wanted
much
to do. Like
experience.
it's like they weren't preparing us for a career because they didn't believe there was a career available in Malta.
It's like they're training you to analyze.
Yeah.
To write about it, to understand.
Yeah,
it, but
and that's
not to
obviously
actually
not what
do
I
it,
wanted to do. Yeah.
Which is.
Or they just
rubbish.
would tell us like to do it on the side and stuff. Like, so that's
Rubbish.
not what I wanted to do. To be fair, I kind of always knew that I was going to do it just for a year. I kind of did it because I decided that I wanted to go abroad to do drama school. I decided when I was in 6th form. So after my A-levels, I had a kind of gap year, and instead of doing a gap year, I just went to uni for 1 year. Because I thought it could help me like in training, but it didn't really.
But no, it gave you a good understanding of what there was, and it wasn't.
I mean, it helped me theoretically. It helped me with like essays and stuff, and I made really good friends from there. And they actually just graduated like this week, like yesterday. So if I had stayed, I would have graduated yesterday.
Wow, that's a weird thing to think about because you've got another 2 terms to.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. So basically, people my age are graduating right now. So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's basically what there is currently in terms of like a university level training, or else you can do it like extracurricular, but there isn't really anything like full-time vocational. And when I was doing that, to be fair, I kind of burnt myself out because it was still a full-time degree, and I was also then basically going everywhere else doing extracurricular training to train for my auditions. So it ended up being like quite stressful. And I was also doing a job at the time, like a theatre job. Like it was, I guess, my first professional job, but it was in Malta. Like I was in a show.
How hard was it to convince your family to let you do? Because that must be a massive thing.
Yeah.
And a big sacrifice on their end.
Yeah. So first of all, I've been doing ballet since I was 5, and I basically went to that same school until I went to Burren, and it was like RAD ballet. So I did like exams and stuff. So it was very good training, but it was never like with the intention of doing it professionally. And I would say that was like the majority of my training before bed. And then I used to go to these like 1 week intensives in Gozo, which is like an island which is part of the Maltese Islands. And they would like get teachers from abroad, like from the UK and stuff, to have like a 1 week dance intensive. And I used to love that. Like I started going when I was 11 and I went until I was like 17 maybe. So this isn't really answering your question, but it's like giving a bit of a background. Yeah. So to be like, I always loved it, and I always wanted to do it, but it never crossed my mind that I could actually do it, because I thought you have to be like American to do it, or like British. Like I never knew it was like a thing that I could do. But I remember when I used to go to these like dance courses, like the first one was like the summer after I was in year 6, and literally I was 11, so people were like getting homesick and like missing their families, but I literally loved it. Like I didn't want to leave, and I remember after that I was saying like, I wish this was like my school. Yeah. Which is crazy because now it is. So I guess I kind of
and do you like
made it.
Are you coping really well, or have you coped really well with the whole, you know, Monday to Friday intense long days? I mean, because it's harder when it's every week, because I only had done it for like a week at a time. But anyway, like going back to, I'll get to that, but like going back to, so I guess my family knew that I loved it, and like that's also where I got introduced to musical theatre. Like I never really did it properly before, because this was just 1 week a year. So, and I'd also like my school was primarily a ballet school, but when they had like contemporary, I would join and stuff, and jazz, but like I never really did other styles of dance consistently like I did ballet. And even then, when I was like in like year 11, like we had like our end of year show, and it was like all I could think about. My mom was worried because she's like, you're not studying for your O levels, like your GCSEs. Because literally that's like my whole life was about that. And same when I was in sixth form, like I basically chose my sixth form based off of the shows they would do. And it wasn't even like it wasn't a performing arts school, but like it was like, it gave me life, you know, like that's so
what I loved.
That's what you had to do to find the things that you enjoyed. You had to choose which sixth form you're going to go to based off their performing
and
arts.
it was like an amateur show, because it's just like whoever does ballet after school is like in charge of the dance, but everyone else is just normal students. Like it wasn't, we didn't learn anything to do with performing arts there. We didn't even have like musical dance or whatever. Like, so, but I loved my sixth form, even though it wasn't a performing arts sixth form and I was doing biology and chemistry A level. But also I would forget about my A levels for the whole like rehearsal period. And then when I was there, I met my friend Frankie, who just graduated from Lane, and she knew she wanted to do drama school like her whole life. Like she had it all planned out. She also, I guess, had a similar story to me. She went to Stagecoach as a child, so she had a theatre background. I only had a ballet background, but she basically the same. Like her training all came from extracurricular classes, because obviously there's no foundation course, there's no like dance sixth form and stuff. So she kind of had it all planned out better than me, really, because she knew like this whole time. I did it all last minute. But yeah, she knew she wanted to go to drama school, and she kind of inspired me. But I decided like in second year of sixth form, so it was a bit late for me to apply to come straight from sixth form. But that's how I was like, oh, it is possible, and like I just decided to do it too.
Based off the fact that she had more of an understanding.
Like she had a pathway. I feel like in mind, and I feel like that's the thing I kind of lacked, because I knew that I loved it, but I was like, how can someone from Malta do this as a career? Like, because I saw what in Malta, I feel like the biggest like things in the arts at the moment, like the things that like the budget goes to is like Eurovision and Panto. I see. Which I feel like here are kind of the smaller things. Yes. You know. So I was like, either I have to like be in Eurovision, or I have to like, well, even Panto, to be fair, you don't get famous from Panto, but it's like quite a big thing in Malta, and then that comes from our like British ancestry, I guess. But anyway, back to like convincing the parents. So I feel like they saw it coming in a way, but I feel like it was a bit of a shock, because Malta's really small and there's one main university, so people usually don't leave home for uni. And as well, we kind of have this like Mediterranean like family kind of tradition, like not tradition, like culture, where you like usually don't leave home until like people usually leave home like either when they get married or maybe for their masters they go abroad, not really for bachelors, or maybe during the bachelors they would go on Erasmus, so they'd go like on a student exchange for a few months and then come home. So I feel like that's like the norm. I feel like it's getting more common to leave home earlier now, but I mean it doesn't really make sense to rent a place at 18 when you can drive home.
Yeah, I think also like with where we are currently, for people who live nearby,
Yeah, exactly.
there's no need to pay.
So I feel like
money.
the fact that I was leaving home was already a huge thing, because
Yeah, you're young.
yeah, people usually leave home at like 30, I feel like. Especially they tried to convince me to like, they were all, first of all, my family was always very supportive immediately, but like for my own good, they were like, first of all, like obviously it's an unstable industry, like we know that, not just because I was leaving my country, like we know that it's a scary thing to do.
Yeah.
So they warned me about that, but they were also trying to convince me like maybe leave for your masters instead, like do your bachelor's at home, or they even like, I literally had my best friend's grandma like trying to convince me, which is funny because she's not even my own grandma, but she was like, was like do something else, like you can always dance, but like get a proper degree.
I hear that phrase a lot about it being not a proper degree.
Yeah, I feel like it's a universal thing, but I feel like it's probably bigger in places where there isn't a big industry, because I feel like here maybe there are both types of people, because people see the West End, like they see it's real, but back home there isn't really anything like that big, so it's like it's even scarier, you know, like the famous singers in Malta are Eurovision singers.
And apart from Eurovision and Panto, I mean, there's no real other way of...
Yeah, I mean, we have our national theatre, the Manuel Theatre, which was built in like, I think in the 1500s. Like it's a really beautiful theatre, and there are always shows going on there. In fact, that's the show I had done over there. But again, they're usually short term. Yeah. So it was quite difficult to like, and then obviously the cost. It's not something we had accounted for because university is free in Malta.
So suddenly having to pay
a
lot of money.
Yeah, I feel like it was like a huge like thing. Like I feel like that's why I feel like the stakes are kind of higher when you're an international student, because I feel like when you're British, even though obviously you have to audition to get into drama school, and it is like not the normal career, but I feel like the university process is quite standard for you guys, because you get, well, I as in, no, maybe not.
No, it's
as in not the experience, like not like going
the
to class.
audition process. You mean?
No, I mean in terms of paying, in terms of moving away from home. Like that is quite standard.
That is, yes, yeah. I mean,
because you
same as my brother goes to normal uni. He's in his third year there, and our experiences of like just coming up here have been the same. Like,
that's what I mean. Like for me, it was like do normal uni and have it be free, or do drama school and pay. Yeah. So that's that's the difference, because I feel like for you, it's the same price, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
The same price. You get a student.
Yeah.
You get a student loan either way. Yeah. A lot of people leave home either way. Whereas for me, it was like these things are like unique to going to drama school. Like you leave home to go to drama school. So it was like there were a lot of high stakes. There was already the stake of entering this unstable industry, but there was the stake of leaving home for it. There was the stake of paying a lot of money for it. I didn't learn how to drive because I was saving my money to like go to drama school. Yeah. So I'm 21 and can't drive.
I think there's probably quite a few 21-year-olds who haven't learned yet.
I guess so, but like back home, it's not the norm, because obviously you stay home for uni.
I see.
And I also had this whole like money crisis where I didn't spend any money for a whole year, because I was like, I need to save up to go to England, which was quite like, it wasn't healthy, and I used to panic about money, and like I'm better now, but yeah, it was. So I feel like, again, if I had to come here and it didn't work out, I would have so much more to lose than maybe if it's the normal kind of uni process for you. Yeah,
I think it is quite safe when you look at it realistically. As a British person, it is quite safe, because even if it doesn't work out for you afterwards, you just go back home, which probably isn't that far away, and you can just get like your normal unperformance job, and that will just pay off the like.
Yeah, I guess so.
It really isn't that difficult when you really think about it.
So I feel like I kind of put a lot of pressure on myself for it to go right, and I feel like since I had to kind of convince everyone that this is what I wanted to do, like I feel like I had a lot of pressure for me to like it, and it wasn't even coming from them, because like my family has always been there for me, and they always ask me like, are you okay, are you happy? But especially in first year I found it hard to tell them when I was like struggling, because I was like, I literally put them through all of this and they're going to be like, oh, like we made all these sacrifices and you're still not happy, you know?
Yeah.
So, but it never came from them. Like they always told me like, if you want to come home, you can come home and stuff. But like, yeah. I felt a lot of pressure, especially when I go visit home. People are like, how is it? And I'm like, oh, it's so good. But like, it's really hard, you know?
Yeah. It's tough. It is tough. And it's normal to struggle as well.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were hoping to come here and for it to be a complete, easy ride, then you're setting yourself up.
I didn't know what I was in for at all. Yeah. I just did it. Like,
but you probably had and have had a completely different experience to what I probably will have.
Yeah.
Because everyone's experiences are going to be different.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Especially I feel like the current climate that drama schools seem to be in is that there's a lot of pressure for them to start fixing some of the problems that they have, especially the last couple of years. Loads of things have come out about different drama schools around, and I think for my next 3 years, it kind of feels like they're being watched a little bit more. And so
like the whole thing of lifter and liftee. Have you had part of the?
Not yet. Part of it after Christmas.
Basically, it's good. Obviously, it's a good thing, but like they don't say like the boy and the girl. They would call it like lifter and liftee. Like there's a lot of these like progressive measures being put in place.
Yeah, so much has happened in the last few years that has come out on the internet, and probably quite. I mean, I haven't looked into it. Probably stuff about where I'm currently at, but I think for drama schools in general, there has been a bit of a shift and a change in making sure they're doing things slightly better. And so I think that I will probably have quite a different experience to what you've had.
Which is crazy because we're here at the same time. Yeah, but like
for the 3 years that you've been there, is kind of when all of this was happening. The 3 years that I'm not about to have is hopefully when they start to fix some of their problems. I mean, I think it was very normal for drama schools to overwork their students, not give them enough breaks, or kind of chances to eat and stuff like. And I am hoping that in the next 3 years, now things become more public, that does change.
I mean, they already don't. Like, obviously, this is like a basic. What's the word? This is like a bare minimum, but
the bare minimum, yeah.
They don't have anything to say about our bodies, which is like obviously the bare minimum. But in the past, they used to like weigh people and stuff.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
I was a gymnast, and I'd heard many stories about other gymnastic clubs weighing the gymnasts to make sure the tops were light enough, which is
it's crazy.
I never experienced that, thankfully.
That's awful.
That was a thing, and the fact that with drama schools as well, making sure like your dance is it's not necessary, is it?
Yeah.
But that has changed, and
that's good.
Yeah, I mean, if I walked into bed on my first day and they weighed me, I'd be out of there.
Yeah, literally. I
don't
don't even know how much I weigh, and I don't
really. Yeah. No, I don't actually know. I mean, I've been here for 3 months now, and my physique has changed so much.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it is intense work, but I've come here to work hard. And there are always things I'm going to struggle with, but at the end of the day, like you're here to work, but you also got to be aware, like, to look after yourself, because sometimes you are burnt out, completely worn out, and don't have anything left to give, and you've got to be aware of that. There's also a whole thing of like being aware of when you're ill as well. Some people try and push through the illness, but actually just allowing yourself to recover. Hello, Oliver, how you doing?
I did that.
Well, push through illness.
Yeah.
You also slept in quite a lot as well.
Okay, no, I slept in 3 times. Give me a break.
3 times more than me, my friend.
3 times, to which I then ran to the classes and got in as soon as
I've done that so many times, and I lived at Avery, so it didn't end well.
You live
Yeah. I was gonna say I did create with a kidney infection.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, that doesn't sound.
So if I didn't know I had it,
Okay,
but I wasn't well for the last
Yeah.
few shows.
Mhm.
So
that,
yeah,
that sounds. Was that recently?
yeah, last 2 weeks ago. Like,
Because I watched you in.
what day did you watch?
I watched Thursday. On my birthday, I watched on my 19th.
Oh, happy belated birthday! Hope you enjoyed
Yeah.
Bowie Ballet.
It was really good. No, love
Oh.
Bowie Ballet. Bowie Ballet was really
Yeah, I
good.
had a few disasters. People in my it's quite funny, but like people in my create know this. So basically, you know how we danced barefoot. It's like quite sticky, and we were doing splits and pirouettes. So we had this idea of like having talcum powder in the wings, like in a tray, and we'd like step in it before we go on.
All right.
And on one of the nights, I like we're all rushing backstage, and we had to like go in the wings very quickly and then go straight back out. And I went to like step in the powder and tripped in the tray and left this like this whole cloud of dust behind me. And I had to go on stage. I couldn't even help clean it up.
Yeah.
So there's this like white powder everywhere, and like the people backstage are like trying to sweep it up, and literally everyone was like all white, and it was all my fault.
That's quite funny though. I mean, was it
Yeah.
your last performance ever? or
No,
was
it was like an afternoon performance. Like,
I never got to see Create. That was when that was my sickness. Because for
Oh.
like 3 days beforehand, I was burning myself out and
You
still
missed
working.
it.
And then
Oh,
I was
no.
supposed to see it on the Friday, the final one.
Yeah.
And I was powerless.
Yeah.
oh,
For listeners, Create is a performance event that is it just third years?
yes.
Third years doing their first term.
It's basically
You explain it.
Okay.
I don't know why I'm trying to.
so basically when we're in third year we have musicals,
Yeah.
but a lot of musicals don't really show off female identifying, or like I don't really know how to call it. Maybe female presenting people well, because it's non-binary as well. But like if you're non-binary but you would play a female role, or if you're a girl. Since there are way more girls than boys, and since there are like a lot of male roles, basically like very few of these female identifying or female presenting people get the chance to be shown off in musicals. So they basically have this Create, which is in the first term, and basically all girls would do Create and one musical, and then boys can do 2 musicals, or they can do 1 musical and dance Create. So the musical theatre Create is only for female identifying or female presenting. And then dance, boys can do dance.
Because I was like, when I was
Or like
okay.
basically male identifying or
Yeah.
male presenting can do dance.
So when I was watching it, I was like, damn, third year don't have many guys.
Because Create is for the girls, basically.
I
It's to
didn't
show
realise
off.
that.
It's to show off the girls. That's why it's like,
That makes
yeah.
so much. I did not realise.
Yeah, Andrea was like, do you have like 4 boys in your whole year? And I'm like, no.
I was like, generally, I was like, seriously, there are just not many guys at all.
No, that's the whole point of Create. It's to
Okay.
like show off.
So
yeah.
the guys were only in the dance Create, and then the 3
Yeah,
other
so you can. So
musicals
if
were-
you're female identifying or present, I don't know how to say this, but like,
yeah.
you can choose MT or dance Create, and then if you're male identifying or presenting, you can choose 2 musicals or 1 musical and dance Create.
What would you recommend I do?
I
Is dance Create worth it compared to doing 2 musicals?
I think it is, because, well, 2 musicals is tough, because I don't know. I felt like in terms of Create it was, because I would say like I like to dance. I like both dance and musical theatre, and I like dancing not for the purpose of musical theatre, like full on like technical dancing. So my reasoning was like, hopefully I'll get to like do musical theatre in the musical. So I chose dance Create. However, it was a tough decision, because I know that like there's a likelihood I won't get any solos in the musical, but in MT Create I probably would have gotten like a singing solo, just because like basically everyone did in some way or another to a certain extent. So it's a difficult decision. I feel like if you really like dancing and you want to kind of show that off too, then it could be worth doing dance Create.
Yeah.
Like if you like dancing for the sake of dancing, then
Yeah, because in my mind, and I think I've told you this, like I came to Bird as a contemporary dancer and as an ex-gymnast. That was about it. Like my first jazz experience was doing the auditions for drama school.
literally same.
And that was
Yeah.
it was,
I was just a ballet
Did
dance.
you didn't do Erdang, did you? Because they didn't accept.
No, I didn't.
But so my one for Erdang, bearing in mind, contemporary only, and then their audition for dance was just pure jazz. I was so overwhelmed. They were like always just fast kicks and jumps, and I was just like, what the hell is going on? I don't even know if I could do it now, to be honest with you. I hope I could.
To be fair, Bird was the only school I managed to audition for, which does have a focus on dance, like fully on dance.
Yeah, because the
which-
course is professional dance and
Yeah,
theatre.
which like basically all the others I auditioned for were very theatre based, like Mount View and GSA and
Yeah.
and
very acting heavy.
and Arts Ed and RCS. So like because obviously I couldn't audition for Lane, Royal Conservatoire of Scotland. I couldn't audition for like Lane or Erdang, so Bird was like the only one which was like kind of.
And it's good that they do offer it. You know, it is good.
Yeah, that is good.
It's just, I guess, having that awareness of that they offered it, but could you actually do anything afterwards?
Yeah, and also there's so much we can't do, which is it's really like painful. Just like obviously we can't work and stuff, but even basically anything you think of, like we just can't do it. Like you can't open like a student bank account, and you can't like I was in the process of getting tested for ADHD, and I couldn't continue. Like I got to the point where they're like, we think you have it, but I couldn't get any of the funding to do it, to like get the like diagnosis or the support, or even there's like I forgot what it's called, like a disability allowance, like you can get money to help you.
Yeah, my brother has that.
I spoke to Hannah, the learning support, and she's like, oh, you can totally get that. Obviously couldn't. So
they really need to fix.
It's just very like disappointing. It's like disappointment after disappointment.
Yeah, and that's going to be the exact same for any other international students that do.
Even in terms of like renting, like we need the guarantor who is in the UK.
Interesting, because I've got friends, Liao, Joao, and Bella, and they're all from Portugal, and they're sharing a house.
Yeah, sure.
Well, to be fair,
With guarantor.
last year I didn't. Last year they just they used my parents and they just didn't background check them. So I guess it depends. Like if they do it properly. But then this year I was like, oh, it's fine. But they were like, no, we need someone who we can background check. So I was lucky that my mom has a friend in England, but it was a stressful process because like first we asked another friend, but she couldn't do it. So it was a bit awkward because like I kind of felt bad. And then we asked this friend, but still it's like a huge favor to ask. And like, yeah, it's difficult. And if I wasn't lucky enough to have like my parents have a friend, I don't know what I would have done. Like,
yeah, so every person going into a house each need a guarantor.
exactly.
Not just one for the whole house.
Yeah.
Damn.
Because it's like if you don't pay your rent, they contact the guarantor and they'll be responsible for it. Like literally, Avery was my easiest tenancy ever. Because like when you're actually renting, it's so stressful.
Yeah, because I'm gonna have to do that from next year. Which actually I'm quite. Obviously, I'm saying this in my British privilege, but I'm actually quite excited to move out because I don't have any like struggles with the whole guarantor thing. Like,
I mean, it's nice.
Yeah.
Like, also, this is really difficult, but we obviously it's amazing that we have the graduate visa, but we currently can't do any auditions until we have the graduate visa in hand. So right now we're in third year and everyone's starting to get auditions, and I just feel really left out because even if I'm like, because the agency puts you up for stuff, but so basically even if they think I'm like great, they can't. Like they can put me up for cruises and stuff, but they can't put me up for anything in the UK.
Yeah.
And it's really like it's tough.
Would you want cruises? Is that something? That
Yeah,
interests
I
you?
would, but like, so that is good, I guess. But especially, I feel like ideally I would work in the UK for 2 years and then maybe do cruises, because then obviously at the moment there isn't really a way for me to stay in the UK after those 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, if you get a job though.
Oh yeah, I'll explain that.
Yeah. So how would that work then if you do manage to land a role?
So basically, also we can't do panto, which is really sad.
Oh.
Like people in my year all going off to panto now. Not
'cause
all,
I've
but
seen
like
it. So
we couldn't even audition. It's so sad.
yeah.
Like it's really difficult.
yeah, I mean, I saw on the Instagram the post for the one in Southampton, and it was just like the students just made up the whole ensemble. Cause
Yeah,
it
so
was
many
just
of them,
post
and
after
they're all
post after
a lot of
post.
them are my friends.
Yeah.
So it's
And I was imagining
difficult.
There was like 2-3 grids worth of people with like the show, saying like ensemble or whatever part it was, and I was just like, damn,
Yeah.
that's quite a lot.
You know, someone in my class currently who's doing pantomime.
Yeah, even first years can do it too.
Yeah, they're gone till January.
Wow, I'm jealous.
Yeah, I'm jealous too because I wish I could have. Like, I wish I could have at least auditioned. Like, even if like to get experience auditioning as well.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
like I'm gonna have to wait until after I graduate to even start auditioning. And there are only 3 other people in my year who are in the same situation. So
Crazy.
it's kind of like brushed on the round
How
a bit.
soon do you think you're going to get your graduate visa? Do you think it's going to be a long process? Or?
Well, when I got my student visa, it just came like that. So I'm hoping.
Fingers crossed.
I'm hoping, yeah.
Yeah.
But then there's also so basically you can apply for your graduate visa as soon as you know you've passed the course. So you can apply in like July.
Yeah, good.
But like my student visa ends in November. So the question is, do I apply straight away, but then obviously it will end sooner at the end of the 2 years? Or do I wait till November?
Ooh.
The trouble with that is if it ends up requiring more information or delays, it could really mess it up.
Because
So
imagine
Like,
you
obviously I'm not-
apply in December, November, but they don't get it to you until December.
I mean, I'm still going to apply before the student one ends. But
yeah.
like, I'm like, do I apply straight away in like June, July?
Or do you leave it a couple months?
Or do I kind of hold on to the student visa to kind of extend my stay, but then I can't work while I'm still on the student visa?
Well, I suppose there's still time, right after you finish, that you would need to settle into like not being a student anymore as well. So I feel.
But then I can't work
Mm.
like all summer unless I go home and work. But I won't be like auditioning for my
that is
career.
that's
It's really tough.
that's a
It's
tough question.
a hard one, yeah.
It's-
Difficult.
I forgot what I was saying. What I was
Yeah.
saying before. Okay, yes.
Oh yeah.
Basically, when you work in theatre, even on the West End, you're a freelancer, so you are self-employed. Now, there currently doesn't exist a visa for you to be self-employed, which is the problem.
Okay.
Except for like very specific ones, like global talent visa, where you're like a celebrity, or like very specific, or like if you're like owning a business which does very well or something. Like there are very specific ones. You can't just get one and be self-employed. So the visas that exist require you to have sponsorship from an employer. So number one, you need to basically be employed by an employer, and you have to basically be so good at the job that you do it better than basically anyone from England, that they pay more to sponsor you to get a visa.
Damn. And that's
So
a big thing for an employer.
there are two problems. One is that the employer-employee relationship doesn't really exist in the theatre industry or in the dance industry. Like even on the West End, you're self-employed. So that's number one. And two is, even if you do find an employer, they have to want to sponsor you.
Yeah. They might. I guess in an employer's eye, they could just take the easy option.
And also that puts the pressure that it's already hard enough. There's already a saturated industry where there are way more qualified people than there are jobs, let alone me trying to be better than all the English people. Like,
Yeah.
I already struggle to be like good as it is, let alone like...
Mental. Which is kind of where the whole joke, which might not even be a joke, of just marrying your British best friends has
Literally.
come from, which
Literally.
I mean, is happening all around first year because there's loads of them. And I guess for you, like, it's the fact that that's even considered as an option is wild.
Yeah, but
Mental.
that's the thing. And also the other thing is that if you, it doesn't really have anything to do with it, but if you do have a visa where you can work as a student, where you can work 20 hours, you still can't be self-employed while being a student, so you still can't do panto or anything.
Why?
Because with a student visa, you can only be employed by an employer. You can't be a freelancer.
So they could only get like a job, like at a coffee shop.
Yeah. So those 2 years of graduate visa is the only time where it's a free-for-all. They give it to us and then they take it away just like that.
It's stupid. It's really stupid, especially because like you've got insane talent from all around the globe. Like, why would you not want to put things in place to allow that talent?
Yeah,
to
I don't know if
thrive?
there are any loopholes. I'm still yet to find them, and there's no one I can ask, because
Yeah, it's all quite new.
the only people who might have been in the same situation, but there aren't many, is people from outside the EU who came to the UK. So people from like Asia and stuff. But then some people, like very few, have an advantage of getting sponsorship because their ethnicity is needed for the role. Because, like, for example, Lion King and Miss Saigon are, I think, the only two theatres in the West End who do sponsor visas because they need people of that specific ethnicity and talent. But that doesn't really count for me because I'm not Asian or anything. So, yeah.
Damn, it's such a tough, like, situation. It's such a, and also most of it just doesn't make sense. Like, why can't, you know?
It's very like it contradicts itself.
You always, I call people and they all tell me different things. Like my friend Zervou, when we got onto the track of compliance list, she called so many places to try find out if we could work 20 hours. None of them knew, and then they would redirect her to other people. Someone told her you have to send a handwritten letter to Sheffield.
What?
and then,
Sorry. Sorry. Okay.
And then they will read the letter and decide if you're allowed to work or not. So she sent this letter, and then we found out we can't.
None of this makes sense.
Yeah.
Sheffield.
Yeah.
It's so random.
Come on now.
And it's annoying because, like, Malta's part of the Commonwealth.
Yeah. So you've mentioned about how there was kind of some of the influence there, especially with Panto being over there as well.
Yeah. So basically, Malta was part of the British colony for 150 years. And then we gained independence, I think it was 58 years ago. So not too long ago. Like, when my grandparents were young, Malta was basically part of Britain. And it's crazy that we have zero benefits from that at all.
Yeah.
Like, nothing.
You think.
Nothing.
Surely. But.
Yeah.
But no.
That has affected our culture a lot, I think, because, like, English is my first language, which, like, a lot of people don't believe.
And why is it that it's worked out like that?
Which bit? Like,
why is it that English is your first language?
So basically, English and Maltese are Malta's two main languages. Like, they're like equal, and like they're the two official languages of Malta. And then I guess it depends on your family which one you know better. Like, I grew up speaking English. I guess it kind of depends where you're from as well on the island. Like, I feel like this isn't like a flat out rule, but down south I think Maltese is spoken more, and then north or central English is spoken more. But everyone needs to know both, especially like my age and my parents' age. Like, maybe the grandparents, there are some who only speak Maltese, but like from like people in their like 60s onwards, everyone knows at least understands both. And like, to go to university you need to have O-level or like GCSE in both English and Maltese. To do law you need A-level in both. So they're like the two official languages. We've been colonized by a lot of people in the past because Malta's like, it's an island in the Mediterranean, and it's in a very like strategic location for the war, so people would use this as like their base. So we were under the Italian colony for a while, which influenced our language Maltese. We were also under the Turkish, and we were under the Arab, like an Arab empire as well. I'm not exactly sure which, like from where they were from, but basically Maltese comes from Italian and Arabic. So it has like Semitic roots, but it's the only Semitic language which uses the Latin alphabet.
Cool.
And there was also the language question, this thing where they had to like kind of decide whether we were going to have English or Italian as our main language, and English won.
Which probably, I mean, because you've wanted to come now to the United Kingdom to train. If you hadn't been speaking English and been Italian, it would have been. Yeah,
it would have been hard. Like, I find it amazing how people speak their second language. Like how people come here and English is their second language. Because like, I am bilingual, but I am more fluent in English. Mm-hmm. So like, I find it amazing how people like speak their second language all day, every day. Like, that's really crazy to me. Like, obviously I'm fluent in Maltese, but I do get stuck when I'm speaking Maltese. So.
Well, it's something that I do with lots of my Portuguese friends. Is they always, because they Portuguese is their first language, and like they will be speaking in English all day, but sometimes they do this like code switching, and they don't sometimes when they're tired, because they're long days, get tired, and they don't realize that they're like switching between languages mid-conversation?
To be fair, I say English is my first language, but the English I speak at home has Maltese words in it. So we do mix. So I did find it hard at first when I came here. And also I had to change the way I speak English because we speak it differently. Even though like what we learn is British English, we kind of structure sentences differently.
I see, yeah.
So sometimes we would say things like the way it's said in Maltese but in English. For example, like we would in Maltese, when you ask a question, you just say the statement in a different tone. Like you just say it with a question mark at the end.
Okay.
And in Malta we do that in English as well. Like we would be like, "You're coming to school," like that's a question. Like, "Are you coming to school?" But we'd be like, "You're coming to school."
You just say it like
Yeah. But people here wouldn't understand me. So they'd think I was like saying a statement. Like once like me and someone in my class were like looking for what room we were in, and I was like, for example, we're in room 39, like it was a question, and I kept asking, he wasn't answering, and then he was like, "I know," and I'm like, it's a question.
Right.
Because so now I have to consciously be like, "Are we in room 39?" Because back home I just be like, "We're in room 39," and they'd be like, "Yes."
I think some English people do that. Like I feel like I find myself occasionally
But I feel like it's because I also have a different intonation, so they don't understand that it's a question.
I guess so, yeah, because you do have to change the way that you put emphasis in the sentence. We did a whole lesson in accents on like emphasis on things. How do you
I love accents.
with accents.
I think I'm quite good at accents, and I guess I got lucky because I know like some international students struggle with it. I think partly it's because like English is my first language. It's not like it would be so hard to put an accent on your second language because you're already thinking about how to speak it, especially if it's not a native second language. Because like my second language is Maltese, but it's my native language. So I know what the accent is for that. But when you're speaking like a language from a country which isn't your own country, you basically pick up the accent of the people you're learning from. So like some Italian people sound British, but then some sound American because they learn from like Americans. So, and that's just like the accent you kind of learn the language with. So you wouldn't know you wouldn't have like a neutral accent to begin with. Like I feel like when you like do accents in English, like your own accent is like the neutral accent for yourself. So then you can compare. Like if I say bath, then Americans say bath, you know. So
why all the Portuguese, well, most of the time the Portuguese are closer to the American accent when they speak in English because they learn off.
Yeah.
Some of them learn off TV. So
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Martha learnt off Netflix.
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
Which is quite funny.
And there's also a like this question whether my accent is an L1 or L2 accent. I don't know if you learnt about this.
I'm not very familiar with all of the accent stuff yet.
Basically, an L1 accent is the accent that comes when the language is your first language. So an L1 accent.
Drop my notepad. 1 second. Thank you very much.
An L1 accent in English would be a British accent or an American accent or like an Australian accent.
Okay.
But then an L2 accent would be like an Italian accent in English, or it's like when it comes from a different language.
Like when people refer to it as like Italian English or
that makes sense.
So like the thing is, the question is my accent an L1 or L2? Because it's my first language, but I'm aware that I have a Maltese accent.
L3? Like maybe?
You know?
Create a new.
Probably put that at L2 then.
But no, it's a mix.
But it's my first language. It's not like I knew Maltese first and I speak this way because I'm used to speaking Maltese. I this is my first language, but I learned English this way.
I think it's not dependent on.
But that's a mix though.
Yeah, I don't
because it's
think-
some of L1 and it's some of L2.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if it's
L1.5.
dependent on whether it was your first language, more around the actual accent, what it sounds closer to. So since you're around Maltese accents,
Yeah.
and like the Maltese language as well, that might have had.
Yeah, it's like it's a grey area because it is an accent in the way like Australian is an accent because it's like, or American, like it's like my first language and this is the accent, but at the same time, like it's not like we're pronouncing stuff wrong, you know.
Yeah,
but, like,
it is interesting.
It's not like you've learned it halfway through. Yeah.
Exactly.
Just for me thinking then, like my mind just was switching like every couple of seconds between like, so what is it then? And I thought I made my mind up, but then you'd say something.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure again. So it is in a grey area. You're totally right.
Yeah.
It probably needs its own L.
Literally.
L
L0.
L0.
L 1.5.
Just somewhere.
Yeah.
Somewhere in between.
So basically, yeah, I really like accents, and I don't think I found them hard. And I think one of the reasons for that is because since like I grew up with two languages, I've had to like code switch a lot. Because like I would speak, I had like an English speaking household, but a Maltese speaking school. And another thing about Malta is that like the Maltese accent in English can be both rhotic and non-rhotic. Have you learned about that?
Yeah, the rhotic R.
Yeah.
Sound.
Rhotic means you sound all R's like an American.
Yeah.
Non-rhotic means you don't sound the R's which don't have a vowel after them. So you say like car, and like.
Yeah.
But I, like my personal accent does both. Like if you listen to this, I probably sounded some R's and then didn't sound others. Like I said R and then I said other.
Exactly.
And that's, yeah.
Man.
And I don't think all Maltese people have this. I think some are very set in their like non-rhotic or rhotic, but then people like me code switch a lot.
Yeah. So you don't. Okay.
Because like I'd be at home and my mom's like, don't sound your R's, and I'd be at school and I'd sound like too posh if I'm being like car, water. So
are you aware of which, or are you purposely sounding certain R's and not other R's, or is it just random? Like, would you do it for some words? Like, could say the exact same sentence, and you pronounce them differently each time?
I think that when I'm speaking to somebody, if I'm in a context where I'm speaking to Maltese speaking people, like it's their first language, but we're speaking in English, I'll probably sound all my R's.
Okay.
If I'm speaking to a British person, I'll probably sound less of the R's, just because I'm trying to sound understandable to a British audience. But then I feel like it becomes random at the same time. Like if I'm just speaking for myself, it becomes random because I'm like, who am I catering to?
Yeah.
Or if I'm speaking to a number of people, like.
I wouldn't worry too much about like British people understanding it. Like we have to deal with Scouse people. It's tough.
And Scottish.
And Scottish. You know, it's hard. Yeah. I've got a Scouse in my group, and I'm constantly having to like interpretate what they're saying. So I wouldn't worry too much about like wanting to sound too British.
Yeah.
But I guess this kind of leads into the whole question of identity.
Yeah.
It's
been tough.
Like when you'd kind of talked before the recording about it. And maybe this links into being colonised by everyone, but you feel familiar with British things, but then also feel of an outsider.
So I wasn't prepared for the culture shock I was about to face when I came to the UK.
Yeah.
Because I thought we're quite like Britishified or British-sized. I don't know how to say it, but like we're quite like Malta. We have quite a few British influences. Like we speak English, and I thought like if I speak at home, people will tell me, "Oh, you don't have a Maltese accent," like compared to people at home. Like they'll be like, yeah, it's people with a heavy Maltese accent, it's different to how I speak, just because of like cultural stuff. Or like Gozzetans, for example, from Gozo. Like we have, you know how like Italy has Sicily, we have an island, Gozo. They have a dialect.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's even more different, even in Maltese. And yeah. I didn't think that I would, like, I didn't think I had an accent. I didn't think I had like a heavy accent. And also, it's a combination because, like, I grew up watching like CBeebies, like
I did as well,
and like Balamori, and stuff.
What's the story about?
And like we have Panto. We've got Panto.
Yeah.
What else? Like there are quite a few things. I feel like I'd say the influence in Malta is like it's a mix of British and American, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
But like I guess we have more connections with Britain.
Yeah.
But then at the same time there are a lot of things which I literally have no idea about. And even like the English we learn is British English by definition, but we don't really use the slang. So like when I was in first year, I had made this list on my phone of like words I learned when I came here. Actually, I still have it. I can find it. It's quite funny.
And how did you deal with the amount of people at Bird who are all like speak kind of differently and have different British identities? Like, because the way that I'm very different to our cameraman today, like in terms of as British people.
Oh, I found the list. So like things like
you've got Scottish and kind of like Dubai.
Yeah, and Dubai for me it is a very like international mixed culture place.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Like
That's
we all
interesting.
speak differently, and we
Yeah.
all, because it's not like you're just dealing with one type
Yeah.
of British person. You've got so many different,
That's so true.
different accents. You've got like the London accent, and even London accent. You
England
can do.
has more accents than America.
Yeah, it's crazy.
England's probably got the most accents.
Yeah, because you can, you go into London, and you've got Cockney, and then you can go and then you can get kind of like the slang London roadman kind of.
You could literally cross a road and get a different.
Yeah, no, literally. And that must have been quite difficult for you because you've got like you know British, as, like, or like British as a language, but then all these people.
I mean,
are all so different.
In a way, at least, it wasn't like I was the odd one out.
It's true. Yeah, it's a very good point.
But sometimes it is difficult to understand people. And like, I have this list where people are like,
Can read some of
I
that.
might do.
Yeah, I might do.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Go off, like when food goes off. Like I would say,
Oh, something's gone off. Yeah.
I would say it went bad.
Oh no, yeah, it's gone off.
Is that American?
It went bad.
It's gone bad.
Or I would,
I know it's just quite. Sweet.
I say like,
It's gone bad's just a sweet way. Of saying it. Like,
I
it's gone
say,
bad.
I also say sweatpants instead of joggers, which I think is American.
That's American. Oh yeah, that's American.
100% American.
Yeah, joggers.
I don't know why. Whereabouts? Whereabouts are you going?
What would you say instead of whereabouts?
Where?
Oh, just where?
Yeah.
Yeah, whereabouts?
Bless you.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'd say it when someone sneezes, but I wouldn't say it as like po you.
Oh,
But that's
bless
because we
you.
use a Maltese word.
Oh,
We say like
bless.
miskina or miskin.
Miskina.
It's like, yeah.
Oh bless. People use that patronisingly a lot though. Like,
Oh.
Bless.
Like I had never heard that.
Oh, I hate it.
Fairs.
I start using it a lot, just in general conversation, but not in a demeaning.
Fairs.
Fair. Oh, fair dues.
Fairs.
Yeah, fair.
I feel like I say it now. Fair. Peng.
Peng.
I have
Here we
never
go.
used that.
We're
word
getting.
in my life.
I've never used it seriously. I've never called something.
When they
peng
say
seriously.
use, like where are yous going, like as a
Oh, where's it
collective.
going? Yeah. Use. Yeah. Use.
In it.
In it. Yeah.
Jokes.
Jokes. See, we're starting to get the ones at the top.
Like roadman.
Yeah, like you're going into kind of some of that like London slang there. Like
It's
Um,
that's like very border Scottish.
You know what I can't. You know what?
Yeah.
Like I don't understand aircon. Like I know what it means, but
Aircon.
like I say AC. I think it's American.
that's American.
I don't know why.
The top of your list was like general British. These bottom ones are getting more specific now.
Oh, you know what?
Can say AC,
I would say
but
A faff.
a faff
Yeah.
of something's a faff.
David is always like faffing around. What?
Faffing around.
What?
Yeah.
What?
I don't even know where that's come from. Yes, you got
Even
a mix there.
like
You can
even
show
like
me
poorly.
Poorly.
Like oh they're poorly today.
Poorly, unwell, ill.
I feel like it's like the way like you like put in extra words like you'd be like I've got, but I would just say I have.
I have poorly.
No, not for that.
Okay.
No, like I have a cold, but
Oh, I have a
like
cold,
you'd be
yeah.
like I've got a cold. Like the I've got.
I've got.
I wouldn't say that
which
before,
is
but
I have got.
Yes. It's just
Like-
short.
We
I've
add-
is I
like
have.
I've got
We-
class.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
I've-
add words or we smush them
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
So
Or they'd be like, oh, they didn't come in today.
They did not come in today.
No, but like I would just well, it sounds bad now, but back home we're just like they didn't come today.
Oh, just didn't come today.
Yeah. But like they in England you'd be like they didn't come in.
Yeah, they didn't come in. Like Oliver didn't come into the
Yeah, it was just like he didn't come. He's not
which I
here.
ended up saying quite a lot.
Or
very much.
They keep going. This is great.
Ed, like when you ghost someone.
Oh, that's also that's specific.
Okay.
I'll let you know which one's specific.
Okay.
Or not.
Mackey's.
See,
Man.
that's becoming general, but I would
Yeah,
still prefer
it was
to say
specific,
McDonald's.
but it's becoming general.
It's like
becoming general.
I feel like we say McDonald's, but when we're messaging, we just write MCD. Like we wouldn't say Mackey's. Back home.
I'd message and put Mackey's out full,
I would-
like MACCIES.
I would still fully write out.
No, I'd put Mackey's for sure. It's
Um,
easier, isn't it?
My younger brothers say Mackey's. When
Yeah.
I was at home.
That's specific, but it's becoming more general. Like
Yeah.
people, like my parents would probably say,
I feel like British have a lot of like children words, like
yeah,
eggy bread.
eggy bread.
Eggy bread.
No, my dad would say eggy bread.
I say French toast.
I guess it is
Either,
French toast.
I've never-
No, I love it.
Oh, another thing is like in Malta we would have like an English breakfast. Like it's part of like I
Yeah.
wouldn't say it's like
Full English.
Oh, I want a full English.
Yeah.
I
Like
can't afford
it's
full
it's
English.
it's not weird to me. Like I have an American friend who finds it weird that we have beans on toast, but to me it's not weird.
Oh, beans, no. Beans on toast is.
All the
It's like part of my
Portuguese
culture.
the idea of it, but
It's part of my
but it's
culture.
because-
Beans on toast is
because
great.
beans are
Wait.
different in-
Oh. So beans on toast is part of your culture.
Yeah.
Okay.
As in, we know it's British, but
Yeah,
like
But no. But like, what do you think about Marmite on the bread?
with the
Beans on toast?
beans,
Yeah.
What?
Beans on Marmite on toast.
I feel like in Malta, Bovril is more popular than
I
Marmite.
know what Bovril is.
It's like Marmite, but it's like the
It's
beef,
kind of same thing.
the
though.
beef version. Like
Yeah.
it's like with a red label.
Yeah, and I'm totally happy about that. If that's the thing.
Not
that's
we
great.
we put Bovril and Marmite on toast, but I don't think we ever combined it with the beans. Like would that be separate?
No. Bean like toast, Marmite, beans.
I've never tasted
Never had
that.
before.
No.
guys.
I've had like Bovril on toast or Marmite on toast, but not with beans.
But you can't. I wouldn't just have Marmite on toast.
Really?
I'd
Well,
always
as a
have it with
child, I'd
beans.
have like Bovril on toast.
Or what about boiled egg, where it's nice and like gloopy in the middle.
Mhm. Yeah, soft boiled.
Soft boiled. There we go. With your soldiers. So
Yeah, we
toasted
call them
up with
soldiers as
Marmite.
well. Oh, I've never tried that.
Seriously, guys, you need to. It adds, it adds.
What is it with the British and Marmite
It
though?
adds-
Like, why is Marmite on
I love
everything?
it. I
I don't
love
get
Marmite.
it.
It's a very much a love-or-hate situation.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't get
100%.
it.
Yeah, same with black tea. I've only in the last 2 years I've started liking Marmite and started liking black tea. But before that, I wouldn't have it. But recently, my
I think
taste has
Bovril's better than Marmite,
I've never
and I
had
don't even eat meat, but I eat Bovril.
changed. You're vegetarian.
I'm like a pescatarian, like I eat fish, but I still eat Bovril because like realistically, how much beef is in it, you know? But it's literally like Marmite, but like the beef
Yeah.
flavor, but doesn't taste like beef.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called, but I eat meat, just not fish.
Oh,
I
I'm
don't-
I'm the
I don't have a
opposite.
taste of it. The opposite.
I'm the opposite.
Oh no, fish finger. Okay, I eat meat, fish fingers, but not fish, because I just feel like just salmon or things like that. I don't like my parents when we came up. They did food shop with me. I guess that's the difference as well. Like I came up with my parents.
Well, my
You
mum
come
came with
across.
me, but
Oh, okay.
we had suitcases. Everyone had cars and
Yeah, yeah,
boxes.
yeah.
We were on the bus with 4 suitcases,
Mental.
like dying.
So yeah, my parents came up with me. They brought me a thing of tuna things. They've been sat in the cupboard for the last 4 months. Just haven't. I need to throw them out probably.
Oh god.
I don't know how long they stay for.
But that's also the thing. Like, did you
The tins,
did you get like plates from home and stuff?
No.
Okay, because I had literally had nothing. Like
Yeah,
some
this
people.
came with, I think this place came with. Wait,
Okay,
did it? Oh no, maybe I did.
but
No,
that's
I
actually the
did.
thing. Like
I did
I
bring
had
them.
nothing. Like I came with suitcases, but that's it.
Wow. So you had to do a shop here and IKEA everything.
I've actually never been to IKEA.
Oh, it's
Oh no, it's
We don't have it in Malta.
no. You need it.
I want to go.
love IKEA.
It's one of my bucket list
Great.
things to
Even if you
do.
just go just to play hide and seek, like
I actually have done that with my brothers. It's
Like,
just fun.
if I went with my okay, this is a childhood thing. This is also you should. It's not something you can write on the list, but it is a thing. Going to IKEA, playing hide and seek, and eating meatballs.
Oh,
That is a
I've never
classic.
experienced that.
IKEA and
Classic.
just buy a couple bags of their frozen meatballs.
In Malta, we
Yeah.
have homemade.
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 We
Like
don't. Yeah, I've never actually done homemade meatballs.
Lovely stuff.
no, as in like a shop. It's called
Oh, shop
ho-
called Homemade.
homemade, like
Oh,
mate. Yeah,
Ah,
but it doesn't have meatballs.
homemade instead of IKEA.
Yeah.
Homemade meatballs.
Well, that too. We have that too. But yeah,
Yeah. Nice. Okay, keep going.
Um, clapped.
Clap. Oh, ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's specific.
Very
When people say,
Very specific.
"You what?
You what?
You what?"
Ooh, general.
general.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, is this a game now?
Yeah, that is. I love
Mad. Like that's mad. That's mad.
specific.
And when they say "have a go," like he had a go at me.
Oh, general.
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 Knackered. Like tired.
General.
Oh no. Okay, interesting. That is interesting. One.
Accurate.
Also, it's interesting because it means tired after doing a certain act.
Oh, I didn't know that. I know it meant tired, but
Yeah.
oh,
Knackered means tired from.
From
Doing-
something else.
Well,
Like,
to be
something
fair-
could be
Something-
called this.
No. Something explicit.
Oh,
Something
it also means that. Yeah.
that
Oh.
targeted. Knackered means you're tired because you've had.
Oh wait,
something.
only. Does it only
Yeah,
mean that?
Just that thing.
People, what?
If you're I think I'm pretty
People
sure
say they're knackered after
Knackered?
Ruth's.
Yeah. Oh my god. Wow.
I never knew that.
Wow. Oh, okay. But no, yeah. So no, I'm pretty sure the actual interpretation, like meaning of knackered,
I never
is
knew
because
that.
you're tired from having
I never knew that.
something naughty.
Yeah.
Wait, can you search it?
People, but people say they're knackered after class all the time.
Yeah, but I think.
Oh, do they mean that?
No, they don't mean.
No,
that.
as in, do they mean it as like a joke? Sorry.
No, but they don't realise.
Like, there's two different versions.
I just don't think they realise that's what it means. Like, if you're shattered,
Oh,
if you're shattered or you're
oh,
tired.
okay, that kind of makes sense now. Like knackered up.
Yeah,
Right.
but people.
Fair enough.
People.
That's crazy. I never knew that.
Hold on 1 second. Yeah, people use it without realizing that.
Oh, is it like? Is it like? It started off as that, but now they use it, but
Yes.
it's still,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
still kind, it still has
So-
like explicit connotations.
So, okay, I think I can say it on the podcast because I don't mean it. It's not like we're getting monetized. Knackered means, according to the dictionary, means sexually exhausted, but it's kind of archaic now, and people just use it to mean tired. But originally, like, its actual meaning is that. But people just say it because they're tired. But actually, if someone says I'm knackered, it used to be people used to say that to say.
Is it like when? Well, are we like not allowed to swear on the podcast?
You can swear, it's fine.
Okay. Is it like when people say like someone like fucked you over? Like originally.
Oh yeah.
Like originally it comes. Yeah, but like it doesn't mean that anymore.
Now I
like,
think now it just means that someone's
yeah.
what
No,
the-
as in I know what it means, but like, is
Yeah.
it the same type of thing that it started off with?
potentially. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
okay.
That word is weird. It has so many
Knackered.
different.
That's I learned something new today.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, but I'd say that's kind of general now. I think people just say. But when I was a kid, my parents told me not to say it. They said no. It's a rude word. And I went, is it? I was like, really? I was like, there's an old lady down the street. So it's good for a morning, you know. I was like, come
That's
on
funny.
now. So anyway, I used to just say shattered as a kid.
Yeah, you don't hit knackered in Dubai.
No. All right.
Motive.
That's very
Like a
specific.
party, like as a
Very
party.
specific. Yeah,
It's like London, isn't it?
I wouldn't say motive.
I wouldn't.
I'd just say party.
Bear. I don't even know what this means actually.
Bear, like a lot.
Oh, you're like you're bare.
No, bear,
No, it's I know
Oh,
I know what bear means as in like empty, but like you're bare something. Like,
bear,
Like,
not a lot. It's not a lot.
oh,
it's
you're
like-
bare. It's like very, isn't it? Like they're bare something.
That's a weird one. What does bear mean? Like,
well, bear can mean like very little, like
Yeah,
very
but no,
specific
but
things.
it's like if I was to use an example, I'd say like that's bear weird.
Mhm.
like
It's
very-
like
I would
very.
say
weird, or like-
Yeah.
really, like really
Or no, I was right with a lot. They had bear food, like they had a lot
Oh.
of
a
food,
lot of it as well. Yeah.
which originally you think like bear being like just empty. You say,
Yeah, like
Mhm.
bear,
not a lot of food, but it
like
means
the
like
bare
there's bear.
essentials.
Yeah.
Like that means like very little. You need.
I'm sat here.
I'm sat here.
I'm sat here. I would just be like I'm sitting here. I wouldn't.
That's general.
I'd never say I'm sat.
Oh, they're very general. I'm just sat here.
That's
I'm just
yeah.
sat here.
I found that so weird.
Yeah. I don't know if it's like actually
I don't think it's grammatically correct.
grammatically correct.
It's
No.
not.
Even some people say like you was.
You was.
Like British people be like you was there, but it's like grammatically it's
were.
you were. But I think
Yeah.
I think that's like a
British
regional
people, generally
thing.
speaking, aren't very grammatically correct. Generally.
Yeah, we don't care.
No.
you know what else? Spag bol.
Spag bowl.
A spag bol.
Oh, that's very general.
General.
Like spag bowl.
It's so
Yeah.
weird.
Spag bol.
Also the way that Italian words are pronounced.
Okay.
Like
That'd be-
I didn't write this, but like how do you say like you know a type of pasta? It's like spaghetti but flat. What would you call it? It starts with a T.
Hold on.
Tagliatelle?
Spaghetti but flat.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
we'd
that's
say-
it.
We'd say tagliatelle.
I wouldn't say
but
anything.
It would be tagliatelle.
Tagliatelle.
I'd just say spaghetti or flat spaghetti.
But when the first time I heard someone say like tagliatelle, I was like,
No, I've never even eaten.
it's quite cute actually, but like, but I'm not even Italian, but I'd still say tagliatelle.
Like,
I wouldn't say it.
We English like
Yeah.
Anglicize.
A wrong grammatical. We English.
You anglicize.
Everything.
Yeah.
Like-
We just change
anglicize.
it to a-
I eat spaghetti or like penne pasta or fusilli pasta. Fusilli.
You say fusilli.
Fusilli.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'd eat. But then I wouldn't even say that. I'd just say pasta.
But also another thing that like I was kind of surprised about is that back home I'd have bolognese sauce, not just with spaghetti.
Yeah, I do that.
But like people, I feel like here it's like you have spag bol, like it's spaghetti bolognese. But I would have like penne bolognese.
Yeah. Here it's.
Or
Depends.
the other way around. Once people were like, "Oh, we're having spaghetti tonight," I'm like, "Oh, with what?" And they're like, "Bolognese." But for me, like the two aren't like like you could have spaghetti with something else.
Yeah.
Like I
With pesto.
Pesto, yeah,
I
pesto.
cook spaghetti with pesto.
Exactly.
Like,
Alright.
That's what the whole
Also,
thing is,
the way that carbonara is made here,
I
jail.
haven't.
yeah.
Jail.
Very different.
Well, to be fair, not like in restaurants, but like for some people call carbonara just like. Wait, what would you say carbonara is?
I don't really.
It's like it's a cheese sauce with cream and bacon.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that's not that.
That's what like
Like-
the most general
I don't.
British carbonara.
In England, they'd put like cream and bacon on pasta and call it carbonara. But carbonara is actually like egg, like without cream. It's just cooked in a way that it becomes creamy. So there's no cream.
Interesting.
It's egg and parmesan and bacon.
I'm interested in just off this conversation.
And I'm not
about-
even Italian,
about
but like
pasta
we have a lot of Italian culture
Yeah,
in our culture. So.
because of that being your culture.
Yeah.
I'm interested in you knowing about, or you telling me what you think of the way I eat food. And I only do this because I'm a student. But this is generally what my meals are. I do a thing called mince and pasta,
Okay.
which is like minced beef.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and I make that with like vegetables and tomato sauce, tomato chunks and stuff. And I make like this mince thing, and I have that with pasta. I also eat curry with pasta.
I've done that,
and
but I didn't really
I
like
do
it.
this thing of sausage and bacon with pasta. Penne, like what's the green one called? Pesto pasta. Like that's just what I eat. That's all I eat for my
Oh.
dinners here. Everything with pasta. And when I say pasta, I mean spaghetti. I mean the spinny ones. I mean the other, like I just have everything with pasta.
Yeah,
like-
I gotta be honest. I literally had.
Don't you get bored?
No.
I had penne pasta with chicken dippers the other day.
My mentality for eating here is I'll enjoy whatever the sauce is I'm making. So if I'm making the thing to go on top to the curry, or the sausage and bacon, or the mince, but otherwise I'm just eating it to fuel myself,
Fair enough.
and I don't.
I mean, I've seen worse.
Yeah,
I lived with 4 boys at Avery.
Oh.
I live with my girls.
No offense,
But,
because
I
but
cook
no.
well though. Like I batch cook a massive curry. I batch cook a massive like.
You know what
mince sauce.
one of my major culture shocks when I came to England was the ready food. Like,
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't.
but it's crazy. Like
Yeah.
tinned ravioli,
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Oh
no.
god, yeah.
ready hard boiled eggs,
No.
ready cooked pasta.
No thanks.
What?
Oh wait, no,
What?
pasta. If it's like a ready-made.
No,
That's
like
a meal
no,
deal.
that's fine. That's
Okay,
fine.
okay,
That's
good,
fine.
okay.
No,
Or
like
just
a bag of spaghetti which is soft.
Yeah. That's
Oh
what
yeah,
no,
that's
no.
like
What?
pasta noodles.
Because here's the thing, it's just lazy because you could go home and it takes you like
10 minutes.
5-10 minutes.
That's
to
crazy
make
to
your own
me. Like
pasta.
the tinned ravioli. What? What?
No,
You will never see me with a can of tin ravioli in my house.
No.
It
The
will
only
be
tins that I
thrown
have.
through the window.
I mean, I buy tinned beans, but
Yeah,
like
so I tinned kidney beans.
yeah, chickpeas.
Chickpeas. I mean, because those just go in all of my meals, full stop.
Yeah, fair
Whatever
enough.
I'm making, sausage and bacon, curry, mince.
Yeah,
like,
lentils.
I'll put every type of bean that I can find, whether it's the red kidney beans or chickpeas or cannellini, like because it's got protein in, and I don't things. I'm just cooking. Yes, it's nice food, but I'm just making what I need. Like, what does my body need? It needs a lot of protein. It needs all the vegetables, and it needs the pasta.
I mean, having
That's how
said
I do
that, I said I don't mind meal deals, but we don't have meal deals in Malta.
Oh, meal deals are my saving grace.
I mean, they are. I mean, obviously in Malta I lived with my parents, so it was fine. But in terms of like ready, like how far ready meals go, like maybe they're coming in now, but we always do everything later than the rest of the world.
Would you have like go to be able to shop and just be able to buy lasagna to put in the oven? Because that's quite normal here for people who
I don't know if it's
personally.
because my mum never did it,
Mhm.
and I didn't really shop for myself until I came here. I mean, we have like oven pizzas.
Yeah, I mean, I think that should be fairly normal around.
Well, that is fairly normal because.
I don't know.
pizza.
I don't know about like lasagna. Like I've never had one that was like ready made.
I haven't, no, but I know it's a thing. Lots of people just buy.
I don't know if it's just because like we never did that in my
ready-cooked
family, or
meals.
Like really large, metal tins of just pre-cooked lasagna, and you just stick it in the oven.
I don't cook. I do cook. I don't go to M&S. I go to Lidl or Morrison's. And I only buy savers from Morrison's because my student budget doesn't allow me to go to M&S.
I only went to M&S
I just
at
think when I was
Avery.
home.
I only went to M&S when it was the only 24-hour thing open at close to Avery.
Yeah. So when I've been
Yeah.
there,
The shop the shop at Avery is only open when we're at Bird.
Yeah, it closes at 8.
That's silly.
Literally.
Yeah.
It used to close at like 6 when I was there, and it doesn't open on weekends,
Yeah,
or it didn't. Yeah,
It does now, but like
Oh.
very short. I think
it's expensive too.
Yeah, Avery, which is the student accommodation thing.
Oh, good old Avery.
Yeah, it's like my second home. I go back because like it's really nice where I live here. There's just no social area.
Fair
The
enough.
kitchen's so small.
Yeah,
you
that's
can't
true.
Socialize, and there isn't any place to go to.
it's almost like a room has to be a social space. Like,
Yeah. Well, this also when I came here, the kitchen had one chair, and it's still only got one chair because the second chair that we've got I've nabbed as my desk chair. So this here is my bedroom. It's my eating space. It's my studio for my podcast. It's everything. Like all of this. Thankfully, it's quite big. I'm quite lucky in that sense, but it multitasks and actually acts as my freezer as well. So I've combined everything.
I can't even remember what we were saying.
No, neither. I mean, we did a really good job at keeping on topic until the end, and I think that's pretty good. I think we should be proud of that because 5 minutes in, I can be talking about something completely.
Fair enough.
different.
Yeah, we ended up talking about the lasagna.
We've covered so much. I mean, is there anything else that you particularly want to talk about?
Yes.
Sorry,
Yes.
what would that be?
I feel like I'd want to talk a bit about like my kind of social experience at Bird.
Okay. Oh yes. Okay.
Yeah. Because it has been difficult. And it kind of ties in with like the culture shocks in a way, because I didn't know any of this before. Like I didn't know that these culture shocks were a thing. Like I had heard before, like, oh, the British tend to be more cold, but I never understood. I was like, how can it be? Like everyone has their own character. Like obviously there are cold people and like warm people. Like it I was like, I kind of dismissed it because I was like, everyone has their own character and whatever. And that is true, obviously. But I feel like these cultural things are very subtle. So it's like they're there, but it's you notice them by feeling them rather than by having like explicit like examples, which is what makes it so hard.
Yeah.
And I feel like I struggled to like make friends at first because of these things, because I feel like there were like social cues which I didn't know about. And it's been like a really difficult process, and I didn't realize like it was going to be so different. And it's so hard to like pinpoint what the exact things are, but it's like, I guess coming from Mediterranean, it's a bit different. Like, and it's really hard because you can't generalize. You can't say like the British culture tends to be colder, because there are some people who are the opposite of that.
But like, I think there are some people, but I think on the whole, if you were to take like the majority or like an average, like I found that a lot, and being someone who stands out isn't necessarily a good thing, because sometimes the attention that you get on yourself isn't brilliant. Like I found in my own experience, and I'm British. Like I found that I have to silence myself with a lot of things and just let myself be swept underneath. Especially since being here, I can't always.
Yeah, I found it really difficult, just because I feel like for me, I like kind of, especially before I came here, I'd like kind of be comfortable with people quite quickly, because I'm like, that's just the way my culture is. And I was like, oh, we're friends now, kind of. And I feel like here, somehow people prefer to take time with it sometimes.
Yeah. No, I think that's true.
And yeah, I've just found it quite difficult. Like, I forgot what I was going to say,
No, that's
but
Finding it quite difficult when you first got here, kind of understanding
To be fair,
Dr. Q's as
to
well.
be fair, I actually feel like as soon as I got here, I was fine. Like, the first 2 weeks,
Yeah.
like it was so much fun. Like I felt like I had a group of friends at Avery, and we were always in each other's flats and always like going to parties, going clubbing. But then when people actually started to settle with their friends, I found that like people didn't really tend to choose me, and I was like, oh, I've probably like made some mistakes already. Which obviously it took me a while.
Yeah.
Like, and it was very difficult because like I was like, oh, what's wrong with me? Like, why don't people like me? And I feel like it's not just cultural. Like, I don't know, honestly. I feel like, yeah, it's a lot of people I feel like found it hard in the beginning, but then found their people. And I feel like I was the opposite somehow. It got harder as time went on.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I think a very British way of thinking is that it'll be tough at first, but then it'll get easier.
Yeah, but for me, I feel like it was the opposite. Because I was, at first, like, I wasn't homesick. I was so excited, and I feel like I got along well with everyone. And then people started actually, like, finding their people and solidifying those friendships, and it got hard.
I see, yeah.
And I struggled so much with it. Like, I feel like now I'm in a better place, and I do have friends, and I'm, like, really grateful for them. But I still wouldn't say that I, like, fit into the bird bubble and the bird society, like, in my year.
Yeah.
And
I don't think I do either, to be honest with you.
And honestly, I don't know if it's a cultural thing or not, because I'd say in my year there are 7 international students around, I think. I'd say it's kind of an even split. Like, I feel like half of them have, like, a friend group and the other half don't. Like, I wouldn't say I have a group. Like, I have individual friendships, but I don't really have, like, a group. So I don't know if it's cultural or not, because some people did manage to make it.
Yeah, I think for this group of first years, they've been quite lucky because a whole group of Portuguese have come together, and they're the only reason that I have friends. Otherwise, I just have individual people that I get on with. But if it wasn't because, and the group that we have, I think, is very different to lots of the other groups that have formed. And I do find that quite challenging, especially when I'm in lessons that don't have an international student in. I'm suddenly like our workshop, for example.
Yeah, like I don't have that at all.
It's just me, you, and then everyone else is just different to us.
I've got like Bella and Liao in my class, but Bella and Liao were very. I don't want to say extroverted. I'd say they're very good at.
Yeah, they are
getting
extroverted.
great. Well, they are extroverted, but not in that context. Like they're very good at getting good friends with everyone and talking to everyone, whereas I'm not so great at that.
You just keep to yourself with them.
So I end up keeping to myself quite a lot in class.
I mean, it's good to hear that you have like a group with the Portuguese, because I feel like there were times where I felt excluded because I was non-British. Like I don't even know if that was the actual case or not, but that's like kind of how I felt.
Yeah. Well, it's very clear that like the international students in first year have all come together, and all the other students have kind of got their own thing. I mean, I've come from Devon, not really knowing anyone.
I mean, it's good that there's like a lot of them.
Yeah.
Do you know how many there are?
I think it's about 7 to 9 in first year.
But that's from 7 to 9
just
from
Portuguese.
Portugal.
Oh wow, I was
Overall,
from the
there's
same
maybe about
place.
15 to
Yeah.
20.
And like
Other
I,
classes.
as a person, I am different. I don't get on with your traditional people, and so what I think is quite nice is they who've come here who are different have accepted me who's come here who's different,
Oh,
have
that's
accepted you
nice.
who's come here,
Yeah.
and so like we're a group of different people, which is kind of how I
that's
think
really nice.
We all blend quite well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like there was a point where I was like, it kind of made it difficult. How do I say this? I feel like I just keep saying difficult.
That's all right. That's fine.
It kind of made me like struggle with my identity. Like I didn't want to be Maltese, which is quite sad.
Yeah. But
Like I just wished to like fit in, because partly because of this whole Brexit thing, where it's just like so all this rejection just because of like my nationality, but also sometimes like certain people's attitudes towards it, I feel like they probably didn't mean it, but like it wasn't very nice. Like there was a point, especially like in first year, where people like didn't really know me that well, that I feel like they kind of didn't really, like certain people, I feel like they wouldn't really see me as like a person. They'd see me as just like this kind of interesting thing because I was from Malta. Like, so they'd see me as Malta and it would be like, oh, that's cool. And they'd ask me a lot of questions about Malta and then they'd get bored and just like leave. So it wasn't actually like about like me as a person. Like they wouldn't really care to like get to know me as a person. It was just like, oh my God, like that's so cool. You live in Malta. Like, how is it? And all this stuff. And then like after a while, it was just like, oh, like we don't care anymore.
Yeah. That's, yeah. But the thing is, I can just picture that as well. Like, I can, you know, from
it's hard.
The same type of people are in.
Because it's like, oh, it's only when they want to. Because then they, like, people used to like kind of make fun of my accent as well. And like,
people love finding things to make fun of.
Yeah. But like, and I don't mind it in like a friend way, but it was like people who
don't know you.
Yeah, people who were not like, we're not really friends. Like, so it's just like I'd be in class and I just hear them like mimicking it and stuff.
Like, cause I do that to Cara and Marta,
but like you're friends, you know, there's a difference. Like, you know.
No, totally. That's wrong. Firstly.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed a bit of a bullying culture, not generally, but I notice it pop around. And like, you'd really hope that when you're 18, 19, 20 plus, these things would stop happening.
Yeah.
And it kind of just, some of it throws me, and it's always the people who are different, like so noticeable. I mean, I probably told you about a certain example, but like, and you're just there observing it and like trying to help as best you can. But when there's just so many people and it's like they can't help sometimes, just they're just being themselves, you know, like they're not doing anything. And I don't know, I think some people may need to like self-reflect and start thinking, is what I'm doing right?
Yeah, I guess so. I feel like it has been, for me at least, like being at Bird has been like quite a lonely experience.
Okay.
And I had to kind of get used to that. Like, I feel like I still find it hard, but now I have a few friends and I really appreciate them. But like, it took a while to adjust because I kind of felt like everyone hated me, which like it wasn't the case, but like it was a mix of like people being like kind of, I guess, ignorant about people from other cultures, and then people maybe who actually didn't like me, but then also just the fact that like another of the cultural things is like obviously people's non-verbal communication is different. So I feel like if I like someone, I would show it differently to how someone here would show it. Like maybe I'd show it more. So for me, I was like, oh, the signals I'm picking up are that they don't like me, but maybe in reality they did. They just show it differently because it's cultural.
Yeah, to be honest, I also don't understand some of the signals.
Yeah,
and I'll have days
it's
where
hard.
I go, where I say to my friend, is so and so in class, like, they not getting on with me? And they're like, no, we're just spoken
Yeah,
this. And I was like,
it's difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things where like you can never really know, and especially if your ways of in Malta of expressing.
Yeah, I feel like we show it more.
Yeah,
and I feel like we're just more in general more friendly, even if you're not friends with someone.
Yeah,
like you're still friendly.
I think for British, it's kind of the opposite. They don't necessarily show things, and so if you think someone doesn't like you, they're probably not even aware.
Yeah, I guess so.
And on the other end of the spectrum, it could be like someone who doesn't actually like you, and you might think they do, and suddenly you find out, and you're like, what? Yeah. I mean, I don't know. The culture is weird, and obviously it will change year to year. But generally, a lot of what you've said, I've noticed myself with kind of how things are.
It's really hard to navigate, and I'm still like learning how. But like, I kind of, and it's hard when you get into this cycle where you think you have no friends, and then you kind of convince yourself of that, or you think you like that nobody likes you. Like I felt like that for a lot of my time at Bird, where in reality there were some people who were always there, but it's just I didn't see it as much because I was so focused on like the ones who
didn't, or who you wanted to.
Yeah,
that you didn't always appreciate.
Yeah, and even just the fact that I had to kind of differentiate between the fact that like I don't have a friend group, but I still have friends.
Yeah.
Which is also...
So I guess
like,
they're all part of different groups themselves.
Some of them are kind of like me, where it's just like, especially some of the like international ones, who are just like kind of friends with individual people as well, and then some are part of different groups.
Yeah,
And,
I find socially it's be so interesting, like how group culture works. Like, where do they come from? Is it quite simply just enough people just liking each other? And in your case, if all the people that you were friends with were all really good friends with each other, then you'd have your own one.
I guess
so.
so.
Not necessarily, they don't necessarily know each other.
That's
I
guess so.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there have been some definite
weird.
groups that have popped up. I mean, I don't know if you know, like one of my flatmates is in kind of that northern people from up north. They've got their own little thing going on, and like there are definite things that you can notice. But you see it on social media as well. Social media doesn't help.
Yeah, that's so true.
I don't know if you agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Social, I find it a little bit, because also it's not always true. It's not always real.
When I go home, I usually uninstall Snapchat.
I think that's valid.
Because in Malta, Snapchat died out in like 2018. Like we were all like, oh, that's so 20K15, like 2K15. Yeah. So it was never our main form of communication, but we used to use it as just a Snapchat. Yeah. And then, you know how when the kind of whole streaks culture kind of died down?
Oh, I never understood them, but yeah.
Yeah, when it died down, everyone just uninstalled Snapchat. So I had to reinstall it when I came to bed. And now I basically use it just for bed.
I think I'm the exact same.
Really?
Interesting. Between us.
Interesting.
Yeah, I only use Snapchat really just to be in group chats for different subjects or different groups.
I mean, I speak to people on it now, but it's me adapting to the culture here rather than...
Yeah, I mean, I have 2, 3, 4 people that I'll message. Like, if I need to get in contact with you, I'll send you a message on Snapchat. But some people, and I've never been this person, and I've never understood this, but it's when they go onto their Snapchat and they just scroll down and they just have like
I used to be like
things
that.
from everyone, from like hundreds of people,
and then they just pick and choose.
And but also they're not even messages; they're just photos of like your face.
I don't get it.
And it's just like hundreds of like these red like snaps to open from people.
I've got 4 people I do that with.
I've got one from bed who I do that with, but we actually have a conversation. Yeah. And I literally have 2 streaks with 2 people right now. But I was like a big streaks girl when I was like 15.
Oh no, never got to it.
Or like 14. But like
I tried,
as a child, you know.
But it just didn't.
Me and my friend had like a 900-day streak.
Whoa.
Yeah. And then we didn't keep it till 1,000 because it got too much. Like, yeah.
See, I got to, I think, this wasn't even an actual streak. It was
and I still talk to her now. Sorry, but just not on Snapchat.
Yeah. I think the highest I ever got to was like 100, and that wasn't even from just doing streaks. That was just I'll just message this person.
Yeah.
My highest currently is just over 100.
Yeah, I don't have streaks anymore with anyone. I don't, just full stop. If I do, it's like 3 days, and then I leave. So
I don't understand the Snapchat culture. No. I don't understand why, like, people our age in England decided that that's the main form of communication.
Yeah, like I would still prefer a WhatsApp group chat.
Oh, 100%. WhatsApp. I use Instagram to...
In Malta, we use Facebook Messenger.
That's what the older groups of my friends from home.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, like, grandmas.
No.
My grandparents, they're Facebook Messenger people. I'm not a Facebook Messenger person.
I would say WhatsApp is for grandmas.
No.
Yeah.
No.
WhatsApp is for what?
Grandmas.
No. Facebook Messenger is
I use WhatsApp for my family. That's it.
I use for so many different things.
I use WhatsApp.
Or maybe to send like pictures and stuff for the quality, but that's it.
Yeah, WhatsApp is...
I use Messenger.
Yeah, it's like very general to me, WhatsApp.
Because you know how Facebook, like you have to be 13 to get Facebook. So in Malta it was like, oh, like you're 13, you have Facebook now. And then all the 13-year-olds are chatting on Facebook. Or you'd like fake your age. Like it was like the cool thing at the time.
Right. Lots of people I know did.
11-year-olds thing.
Yeah.
I first got Facebook for Coin Master, which was, I don't know if you know what Coin Master is.
It's like one of the games. Yeah.
That's when I first got Facebook.
I got it on my 13th birthday. It was like a big thing. Like,
no.
I can finally get Facebook.
I only really got social media when I was like year 9, year 10. I think Snapchat I was like year 10, year 11. Instagram I was year 8, year 9 maybe. But it must have been year 8 because I remember like I'd post things and then people from school would message me being like, you should take that down, that's so cringe. And I was like, oh, I want to post that.
I got my first phone at 12.
Yeah, and my first actual phone though, like screen phone. My first screen phone, I was probably around.
I had a phone with
First screen phone was a
buttons,
Nokia.
like
Right.
with buttons. The one with
Yeah,
buttons.
a button phone.
Oh, like a BlackBerry.
Yeah, or a Nokia type thing. Like I'd have as a kid to tell my parents I'm coming home from school. I was only able to get an actual screen. You know, secondary school.
My first screen was my Nokia, and it didn't work. Like, I had it purely for games.
I used to have a phone without a SIM card just to like play with it.
Without a SIM.
Like as a child, like to
Oh,
just
yeah.
use all the apps which were like phone messages,
I had my
settings.
Dad, I really had my dad's BlackBerry, and it didn't
Yeah, so it's like
turn
my
on,
grandma's old
and I
phone.
still played with it. It didn't turn on. I just flipped it open, just like.
Yeah, so you just see without a SIM card, then you're just using it just to say that you've got a phone. Then
literally as a toy. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of on topic because we're talking about the differences between the Malta.
I guess so. Yeah.
Environment, but yeah, we have diverted. Anything back to? Was there anything else you want to talk about socially at drama school or your experiences, or do you think you've done a fair job of talking about that?
Well, this kind of like it kind of adds on to it, but like just the fact that like I feel like people don't really know their privilege sometimes, and like saying this, I'm also privileged. But obviously there's a level of privilege that comes with, especially musical theatre, comes with being born in England and having the passport.
Yeah.
It's a privilege, sorry. But
It's true.
like obviously I'm privileged like being like from Malta, I'm privileged obviously because like I have like it's obviously I'm privileged, you know, just as a person. Like there are people who are poor, you know, like
the fact you're able to come here.
Exactly, that's all. So I'm privileged just in terms of living, and I'm privileged that I got to come here and that I'm like not like living on the street and stuff like that. But like in terms of specifically doing musical theatre here, and even just not doing musical theatre, like just living, like it is a privilege that you didn't have to leave your country to do it, and that you have like you can work and that you can stay here and that you don't have any problems with like bank accounts and healthcare. And,
Yeah.
And
I mean,
all these
I guess
things.
there's a layer to privilege. You know.
Yeah, I guess so.
you've
Because
got
I don't want to
different
sound
layers.
like ungrateful, because
Yeah,
obviously
no,
I'm
of course.
extremely
Yeah, of
privileged.
course.
But
But there are different layers.
Yeah.
But then as soon as you kind of get that British passport, it adds like
and people
massive layers on.
people just, I feel like a lot of people, some people get it, but some like don't get it at all. Once I was at bed and I was speaking to my friend about something to do with Brexit, about like us not being able to work, and she was sat with a group of her friends and they were like, oh, I didn't realize Brexit actually happened.
Oh.
They were like, I know it was gonna happen, but like I didn't realize it happened. And this is what I was telling you about yesterday, that when Brexit happened, you lost access to about 30 countries. I lost access to like one. I mean, the UK, I guess I don't know if that counts as one country.
We'll just say that.
It's a union of.
Yeah, I get to one like
Four,
state, nation state.
Four.
But you're still like
Yeah.
you still
Even
have an
after
advantage.
losing,
You lost,
even after losing access to 30 countries,
and we lost one. Like you're still at an advantage. And yeah, they were like, oh, I didn't know Brexit happened. I'm like, literally, like it affects them that little.
Yeah.
And it's not just the musical theatre aspect. Like I feel like I could talk about this a lot. Like I'm not saying this to talk badly about my country, but like I do come from a very small country, and there are a lot of things that I didn't experience growing up, and some of them are really like basic things, like drinking tap water, just having like I know it's don't you think it's
very bizarre. You have to buy the dry like
yeah,
water gallon
and it's
bottles,
expensive.
and they're expensive.
And here you can just walk into somewhere and get free water. Like for me, that's a big thing. And just the fact that we don't have trains at home.
You don't train?
No.
Wow. I rely on trains just to everything.
And
nowadays.
yeah, and like the public transport isn't great, so you can't really rely on it. So like the fact that I can't drive, I feel I'm very stuck when I'm at home. Even just things like that, like having really good public transport here, having the water and just the opportunities, and even like we don't really have celebrities in Malta. Like it's
Down.
like they're just like Eurovision people, like
Yeah.
and you can walk into them in the grocery store.
The craziest thing in London is that you could be walking down the
Yeah.
street and there's like, holy shit, that person's
Yeah.
famous.
Like there are a lot of these things, and it's not to say, like I don't want to like talk down on my country, but just like you kind of have to look at it like objectively. There are a lot of things which I just never got to experience, and I feel like being from Malta, it kind of affected my self-identity a bit, just because like we're kind of thought as, it's like a lot of people don't know that we exist. And there was a time when I kind of, especially when I was at Bird, I kind of felt like I wasn't valid just because I'm from Malta. Like both in terms of being a foreigner here, but also just because like a lot of people don't know what Malta is. They don't know where we're from. Like it's never, like they never mention it. It's never mentioned in like films and series, and like in terms of representation. Like obviously, I guess it's not the most prominent thing because we're not really marginalized like other cultures are. So obviously things like Asian representation and Black representation, I feel like, I wouldn't say they're more important, but like there's more of like a prominence in terms of that. But like at the same time, it has affected me, feeling like I've never seen any Maltese representation anywhere growing up. Like I feel like it has affected my identity a little bit.
Yeah.
And I've had to work on it, and I still am working on it. But like I feel like in Malta we kind of have this idea that we're just like, we, on one hand we think we're the best in the world, but on the other hand we also think like, oh, we're kind of nothing. Like, and it's quite sad. And I don't agree with it. Like I feel like as Maltese we love to like talk shit about ourselves. I don't know if I was supposed to say that, swear, but like,
No, it's
like
right.
we love it. Like we love to complain. We love to say, oh, this like, oh, this only happens in Malta. At the same time, like we are very proud. It's quite like,
there's a weird mix.
yeah.
I feel like Britain can be quite a lot like that as well.
And I kind of want to like eliminate this talking badly about ourselves. Like if something's wrong, like call it out for sure, because that's part of like appreciating something. Like if you love a person, you're gonna call them out if they do something wrong. It's the same thing. Like I'm not gonna be like, Malta's perfect. But this kind of talking down, it's like a child would be like, oh, I want to be a singer. And they're like, in Malta, as if like you can't be a singer. It's quite like, and I realized it more when I came here, and there were times when I kind of just felt inferior because of that. And I don't think we're any less valid. Like we are small, but I don't think, like, we're still people, you know.
At the end of the day, we're all human.
And I feel like it kind of ended up being like a two-way thing where people maybe would see me as less valid, and then I would see myself as less valid, and then it kept going, and that like was really tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I think it's a good thing that you've come on the podcast then, because you know, just giving you a platform to speak your voice. To say
Yeah.
I think there's a whole thing. There's a common misconception when people talk about giving someone a voice, because everyone's got a voice, and so I think it's always important just to clarify that it's about the platform to use the voice that they already have. And you know, and talk about like representation, you know, hopefully, you know, fingers crossed, you know, after you graduate, other people from Malta can see what you're doing.
Yeah. Even just in terms of like films and series and stuff, like having like Maltese characters. Like obviously there is like Maltese television, which is in Maltese, but like obviously it's only popular in Malta, so there's nothing kind of worldwide which acknowledges that we exist.
I see exactly what you mean.
You know what I mean? Like sure. You watch, when you watch stuff, like they acknowledge the Italians, even if they're not in it. They'll be like, oh, we're eating pizza at an Italian restaurant, or they'll like speak about the English. But I feel like people never mention Malta, because it is small, but like, yeah,
still there.
Yeah. It's like, when I was young, I always thought that like things like books and films and stuff like can't be set in like a real place, because I had never seen anything set in Malta. So I was like, so when I went to Surrey the first time, I was like, oh my God, Harry Potter like lived in Surrey. I'm like, it's a real place. Like that's crazy. Like people actually live in Surrey, and Harry Potter was here. But like, yeah, it's like,
I guess like the world is kind of changing rapidly, and so you know, who knows what we'll see in the next however many years. But also like, if other people, it might just it might, what's the right way of saying it? What it might take is for, you know, someone from Malta who's interested in being in a position in like the creative industry, for them to put representation into films that maybe they make. Like it might just
Exactly.
take someone to
Like imagine, like, you know, in sex education, like it's set in England and most of them are British, but like they're like, have you watched it?
I haven't.
Oh,
I know about it though.
okay.
Yeah.
It's like set in a school and stuff, and most of the characters are British, but like there's one, I think he was, for example, French, and like the one of the students' fathers is Swedish, and he like had the accent and stuff. Like it would have been nice to see something like Maltese about, like, it doesn't have to be surrounded around us, but just that like representation that, oh, we exist,
Yeah,
like
no.
we're real.
I know exactly what
Yeah.
you mean. Yeah. And again, it might just take just someone just to climb a ladder in terms of the the ladder of success of in terms of being a director
Yeah,
or creative
yeah.
and just
That's
putting
so
it in
true.
there for you to see. And I think the more that people from Malta kind of take that jump, go to drama school, go do these training, like the more that you're going to see in the coming years them being in positions to do that.
Mhm.
And it probably does also link into like you not seeing it because obviously about the size and it being a smaller
Yeah.
place, but at the same time, like you're still there, you still exist. It'd be nice to kind of see that representation in these programs or in just
Yeah.
life.
Because like I grew up basically watching like British and American TV, so to the people on TV, we didn't exist, you know.
Yeah.
And I feel like another thing that kind of comes with this, like the British privilege, is the fact that since England is like so big, well, to me at least it's big, like
It's small and big at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like you don't have to rely on other countries as much.
No.
So for me, like I would go to a supermarket in Malta and find products which are in like Italian or German, and there's no translation, and that's not even like, it's neither of them are a language. Oh, my rings are stuck to it. Okay. Neither of them are like our main language, but we're just kind of used to that. Like, oh, it's normal. Like it's just in German. Like we just deal with it.
Yeah.
Whereas
Everything here is-
here, everything is in
yeah,
English.
even if it's from a different culture,
Yeah.
they have English.
And another thing is, I always tell this story because it kind of fascinated me. Also, so basically Malta, we use the same kind of like plugs and sockets as the UK. Like
I
the-
didn't turn my tree on.
oh,
It's fine. It's underneath. It's battery powered.
oh.
It's fine. It's cool. Sorry, but yes, I took what you're saying.
We use the same 3-pin plugs. We also drive on the same side. It's nothing to do with it, but we do. But anyway.
Probably goes into the whole colonization.
Yeah, exactly. So we use the same 3-pin plugs, but we have a lot of imported products. So back home, it's normal to have something which has a 2-pin plug, and you just like use an adapter, or we do this thing where we like put a pen in the wall.
Doesn't sound safe.
It's not.
But that's not the point. So basically,
Okay.
yeah. So
Okay.
if you can they see this or
Probably not. No.
oh.
No, no.
You can describe.
So there are 3 holes in the wall.
Yeah.
If you have like something which is 2-pin, you have to like, inside each hole there's like a little switch. So if you put the pen in, you switch the first one, the other 2 open, and then you can like put the product in.
Damn.
Because it has to go top.
Yeah.
And in Malta, that's like a normal thing to do. Like everyone grew up with their parents being like, don't ever do this, and you grow up and you do it.
Yeah.
And once I was just kind of telling this story to a British friend, and she was like, well, what are you talking about? Like everything here is 3-pin, because everything here is like catered to you.
Not quite.
But like,
if we buy toiletry stuff, they're always.
but that's like the shaver thing. Well, I don't know, but and then I was like, oh, that is kind of true. That like a lot of the things here are either made in England or else made for England.
Made for England. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, made for England. Yeah, I would say definitely.
But like for us, we just kind of deal with it. Like, oh, it's just
Okay.
like that.
You know, I get you now.
Yes, yeah.
Like I'm not saying stuff you buy online. I'm saying you walk into a shop in Malta, you buy something and it's 2-pin, and all our plugs are 3-pin, and we're just used to that.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. It's weird that you just have to.
And it's
like,
not
why?
it's not even like a sad thing or anything. Like it's not even like a dramatic thing. It's just like, but it's just like kind of crazy to think about. Like that's the norm for us, because we rely on other countries and they don't really know we exist, so we just adapt. It's like it's like a metaphor in a way.
It's really strange. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you'd think that in a shop in Malta they'd have products that would
Yeah.
work for people in Malta, but they don't. That's very weird. I think what you were saying about 2-pin was like the shaders you but they have a specific plug for that.
But then there's a socket for it.
It's like specific sockets. Yeah. Wow. That was. I mean, there's so much to unpack there, and I feel like I've just learnt a lot as well. Actually.
Yeah. It's about like the way I feel like we view the world from like different viewpoints.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's always good to have the conversations where you bring the different viewpoints together, and kind of like you share and you kind of learn off each other. Damn, I don't know how long this episode has been.
Yeah.
I might wrap up here actually.
Okay.
Unless, of course, you think you want to.
Have we can I look at this?
Yeah, of course.
Let's see. I feel like I'm definitely gonna like think of something after, and I'm like, oh, I wish I said that.
No, yeah, of course. Have a moment.
Okay.
And I'm happy for you to go for as long as you like. I don't know what you.
Okay, let me see.
What you have time wise, as well. I mean, it's definitely been over an hour. But that's perfect. It's a good podcast length. I like the podcast over an hour. Do you also want to continue then talking about? I think it was acting through song and what accents you can use, and how it's different for you being from Malta to someone who's from Britain, because your native accents are different. But then when playing characters and you're being told, can you do it in your native accent? Can you do it in thing accent? The kind of crossover.
So basically, when you're singing a song which is from a musical.
Oh, I just turned down. Hold on, we'll do that.
The red light isn't on.
Bloopers.
Thanks.
Wait, were they on?
They're on. But
Okay.
There's a certain setting that like just has
Okay.
a feather effect that I did switch on.
Right. One more time.
Yeah. So we've been talking about the accents that you can use in your acting through song, and I'd really like to hear about how, because you've mentioned before your native accent being different to obviously British people's native accent, and then when you're told to use your native accent in classes when actually they're just referring to the British people using their British accent. And I believe you said that you've been told before that actually your one wasn't right or wasn't okay to use.
So basically, when you're singing a song which is in English, but it's from a musical which is set in another country, like how Anastasia is like set in Russia or Amélie is set in France, there is like a bit of kind of disagreement over what accent you should use, because I feel like people's like normal response is to just use the accent that the cast recording's in.
Mm-hmm.
But then they would ask like, why are you singing, for example, why are you singing in American if like there's nothing that correlates to America about it. So then there's the question of like, what accent should you use? And it reached a point where some like British students were just told to use their own accent, because there's kind of like an artistic license where it kind of cancels out, because like the musical, like for example, Anastasia happened in, like the story happened in Russian, but we're telling it in English. So that kind of like cancels it out. And once we were in ATS and the teacher told somebody who was British, she told her, just sing it in your native accent, because like you're singing to a British audience, so it would just kind of sound neutral. And I put my hand up and I said, so does that mean we should like base the accent off of the audience? So like if you're in England, sing in British, and if you're in America, sing in American. And he was like, well, for you it's different, because like you're not actually British. So then I was like, what accent should I use then? And like basically he didn't have an answer for me, like he didn't really know. And in the past it happened to me when I sang in American, and they kind of asked me like, why did you sing in American? And then once for a mock audition they told me to sing in my own accent, and I did. And then like the feedback I got for it was so bad, and it like made me feel really bad about like my accent, because I don't think they meant it in a mean way, but they were just like, kind of, why did you do this? Like we can't tell like where you're from or where the character you're playing is from, like it just kind of sounds foreign and it sounds unsure. And I got all this like backlash, and it just kind of made me feel like bad about my accent.
Yeah, which isn't, that isn't great.
Yeah.
And I think like in the coming years there definitely will need to be kind of some steps put in for international students who
I feel like
aren't necessarily global majority, but it's still, I mean, I don't know, how would you say your global majority? What would you?
I don't know. That's a whole other topic in itself.
Yeah, it's like
to be
it's
honest.
it's kind of a tough one though,
because
isn't
then
it?
I feel like they have to make a decision in terms of this accent thing. Because then they kind
Yeah.
of told me maybe you should do like a Russian accent or a French accent, but like it didn't really make sense because first of all I'm not trained in those accents, and second of all like the story didn't happen with a person speaking in English in a Russian accent. Like it happened in Russian, so it should like kind of cancel out. And third of all, like why am I having to do like a Russian accent when British people can just use their own British accent, like just because I'm international. And then when I was in the ATS class, I said, should I just sing it in British then, just like this person? And he was like, well, you can't really eliminate your Maltese accent, can you? And he hadn't actually heard me like doing any accents. Like he hadn't heard me sing or act in an accent. Like if I had and he was like, these are the notes, like I can still hear the Maltese, then fine, I would have taken it. But the fact that he just looked at me, saw that I was foreign and was like, oh, you can't eliminate your accent, can you? Like I found it a bit hurtful because like he didn't say the same thing to the British people who were doing an American accent, you know, and like I'm quite lucky that I do quite well in accents and like I haven't really had a problem with them. So I found it a bit like kind of hurtful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, like I mean, as I've just mentioned, like, kind of going forwards. I mean, there aren't as many international students in third year as there are now in first, because I think in first year so many people have seen it being possible and have come over. But for them to have maybe a better experience than what you kind of went through, I think some of these conversations need to be had of how can we then improve on. So, and some of it's just quality of life. Some of it is students being aware of what they're saying, I think, how they're treating people. And like there's a whole group of international students now who I'm really close with. And, you know, I think what I really want is for them to have the best experience possible and not necessarily to have, because I don't know if you'd call them microaggressions or whatever, but maybe it's just a lack of understanding of how it makes people feel.
I feel like there's currently more understanding of insensitivities towards largely marginalized groups or groups which have been marginalized in the past, such as global majority groups, such as Black people or Asian people. And obviously that's rightly so. Like I'm not saying that like the knowledge is perfect in terms of that. Like there's still a long way to go, but I do feel like there is a level of understanding with that, as it should be. But then I feel like for people who aren't part of those groups but who are also like international, I feel like there isn't that much awareness yet. So I feel like there are a lot of things which people wouldn't even realize are kind of hurtful to us. Like when this happened in class, like I feel like none of the students kind of took it badly. Like they didn't really realize it was a bit like hurtful. But I feel like if it were more of like a race targeted comment to somebody else from a global majority group, people would have noticed, because I feel like there is more awareness with that currently.
Yeah. And so it's about kind of raising that awareness for other international students.
And I feel like I feel like in general, because I feel like there's a lot of awareness about people who are different in a big way that you can see, like in terms of pride, in terms of global majority, which is obviously it's really good. But like obviously the whole point behind this is just like being nice to people. So if you're gonna be a very kind of woke person in terms of things like that, then even just I'm not even saying just for myself, but even people who are like, if someone's like socially awkward, like just be nice to them, because like it's the same thing, just on a smaller scale. Like maybe they're not like, they don't experience racism, thankfully, but like it's kind of the same thing. It's like just treating people like people in a way, you know,
because we're all humans. I mean, at the end of the day, and we all just act socially, we act differently, and not everyone's the same. And I think it's very easy for people to fall into a trap of isolating those who are different and staying in the groups of people who you know who are perceived as normal. And, you know, and I feel so kind of privileged that this kind of group of international students has, because I feel like I'm quite different to people just in the way that I am as a person, and yet these international students, you know, they're different in their own way. Oliver, our cameraman, you're different in your own way. Like we've been kind of accepted into, and which has been really nice that there's enough of us to form a group. Whereas for when you were kind of going through this experience, there weren't many people kind of experiencing that, and so that's why you didn't necessarily have that support structure.
Yeah, I mean,
place.
like I'm currently the only international student in my class.
Yeah, which is mad.
I mean, it's okay now, but like it's like
you've got friends now, and you've got kind of people who support you. But originally, imagine that was probably quite tough.
Yeah, it's been difficult.
Yeah, no, I imagine it does. And I think because there are so many more international students now, first year, it's just about what can we as people do, or drama schools, colleges do, to try and make their experience as nice as possible. And I think for that to happen, some change will be needed, and conversations like this will need to be had, and people will need to become more aware.
Even just kind of, because obviously you can't really, like as an individual, even just the teachers, you can't change the big things like us not being able to work, but even just kind of keeping it in mind. Like when teachers are like, oh, there are soon panto auditions coming out, like try your best and stuff. I'm just like, well, no matter how well I do, I can't do panto at the moment. So just like having it
small
in mind,
changes,
like it would just kind of help. I just wouldn't feel so like left out and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's a really important message. And for those who are listening, I mean, thank you for listening this far. I think it's crazy that some people do listen the whole way through. I mean, it's usually my parents.
Hi, Mum.
but there are people who do, and I find it crazy. And, you know, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, but you probably have if you are this far. So yeah, I mean, otherwise just take this message that we've been talking about, take it and learn from it, and kind of try and see if you can understand it, and maybe share it as well. Because I think what we talk about, I think at the end of the day, it's awareness. People need awareness. Teachers, for example, probably need to be a bit more aware of how different groups actually truly feel. And I think because there's such a large group now in first year, it's about using your past experiences to try and see if we can make a change for them. Because I've seen, as one of their close friends, a lot of upset and a lot of worry and stress.
I mean, likewise, I feel like we could all like learn more about other people's experiences, because like, I mean, I know this much about it because I've been through it, but I wouldn't say I know this much about like other groups which I don't form part of. So I guess we could all like kind of try understand other people's experiences a bit better.
Just be open to have conversations, I think, and to be able to you know, work on yourself and how you perceive things, and understand other people. So I mean, thank you all for listening or watching, getting to this point. I'm not going to say movement theories because we're thinking about rebranding, so I need to get it in my head that it is changing the name. But thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This has been my podcast. I am Joshua Cambridge.
I'm Sophie De Bono.
And, well, I will see you next week. All right. Goodbye.